Now, this is case number 46 on the calendar in the matter of Perkins versus Spratling. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Perkins, thank you, Bert. According to your complaint, you and the defendant have known each other a very long time. You lived together for a period of time. And while you were living together, you made a loan to him in the amount of $400 to fix his truck. And then you claimed that you purchased a dinette set for the apartment. When you left, or when he put you out of the house, he kept the dinette set. So you want the money that you spent on the dinette set and the $400 loan for his truck. The defendant says there were never any loans. He paid all the bills. Whatever you bought into the house, you bought really to, take care of your end of the bills. And in addition, when you left, you destroyed certain things in the house, and you really damaged his property, doors, threw around his clothes and whatever. So we'll get to your counterclaim in a minute. When did you move in together, Miss Perkins?
In September.
How long had you known him before that?
About 5.5 years.
And were you planning a long-term relationship with him?
Yes.
What was the financial arrangement when you moved in?
Well, he paid all the bills there. I got most of the groceries, and I paid my car note and insurance and my other bills, because we were both using my vehicle at the same time.
You were using your car?
He had my car most of the time because I was at work. I was working 2 jobs, and he had my car throughout the whole day.
What was he doing with your car?
I would get dropped off at work at 8:30, and he would come pick me up from work at 5.
So he was working during the day?
Right. Until, well, he went to work at 12.
So now tell me about this $400 loan.
Well, in November, he asked me, could he borrow $400 to get his car fixed? And I said, okay.
So he had a car?
But it was never working. He needed the money to get it fixed, so I let him borrow the money.
Fine. Can I borrow $400? Is that what he said to you?
Yeah, so I let him borrow. He came to the job.
Can I borrow $400?
Yes.
And when did he get the money?
In November. November 28th.
Did you make any arrangement with him with regard to paying back the money?
No set date. He said he was going to give it back. And I asked him plenty of times, can I get the money back? And he would say, okay. And we came across a couple of situations agreements that we might come by.
Miss Perkins, listen to me carefully. I don't want you to make things up as you go along.
I'm not.
Good. Okay, you gave him the $400. You continued to live together.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, he got the money the day that he got the money November 28th. That's when everything went down. That's when everything happened.
Is November 28th the day that you separated?
Yes.
When was the last time you lived in the house with him? November 28th?
Actually, it was November 27th. The night of November 27th, which turned into November 28th. That's when everything happened, because he had went to the hospital because he had got the young lady pregnant when we were together.
And she was going to have her baby, according to you,
that night.
Day. Okay. What about this dinette set? When did you buy the dinette set?
In October. I gave him the money to go pick up. The dinette set was they was purchased separately. The chairs was purchased at one place, and the table was purchased at the other.
All right. So how much is it? $400?
No, the whole dinette set was $650.
Okay, Mr. Spratling.
Yes. I said I don't owe Erica.
I don't care what you say. Did you take $400 from her on the 27th or 28th of November?
Erica did give me $400.
Did you take
yes
$400 from her on either the 27th or the 28th?
Yes, I did.
And when did you put her out of the house?
That same night. That same night.
And what did you do with the $400?
I used that $400 to get my car fixed.
That's pretty coincidental.
Right. If I may, on the 28th or whatnot, I called Erica, let her know that my car was down, and I had needed some money to go ahead and get my car fixed. Erica, being my woman at that time, went ahead and gave me the money. I never went ahead and asked Erica. I never went ahead and told Erica, let me borrow any money. Erica went ahead and gave me that money or whatnot to get my car fixed. I never once said, let me borrow the money, or can you loan me this money? By us staying together, whatnot, I went ahead and just, okay, took it as if, well, we're together, whatnot. I didn't ask you for a loan or whatever. I asked you if, I told you my car was down, you went ahead and just gave me the money. I never told you, well, Erica.
I heard that already. Move on. That night you put her out of the house, correct?
Correct.
Want to tell me how that came about, sir?
My daughter was being born or whatnot. I went ahead and called Erica, letting her know the situation. And Erica told me that if I stayed overnight at the hospital or whatnot, that she was going to, ruin my apartment or whatnot, because me and her she was getting upset or whatnot.
No, I told you.
Shh. So I then called and asked my younger brother and my cousin Nisha here if they can go ahead to my apartment, make sure that Erica doesn't, leave and ruin my apartment at the same time. And that's when Erica and my cousin then got into an altercation and whatnot.
Well, Erica got a little crazy and started to throw around your stuff. Isn't that right, Erica?
In my bedroom.
I don't care what bedroom it was. You started throwing around his stuff. Is that right?
Yes.
You were pretty angry.
I was very upset.
Oh, okay. So you want to tell me what you think she owes you?
$2,400.
For what?
We got harassment, damaged property, harassment.
What's the damaged property? Forget harassment. You ought to be harassed. What's next? You ought to be harassed. She wouldn't do it, I'll do it.
All right.
Tell me about the damaged property, sir.
Well, Erica went ahead and like the day she came over, on the 28th, she came in and kicked in my door.
Show me the bill. Did you kick in his door?
I didn't kick in the door. I had keys to the door. I had no reason to kick in it. My sister kicked in the door.
Was she with you?
Oh, yes, she was with me.
Good, so you're responsible. Cost him $100 for new locks. What else?
Then, that right there is for, can I see this, please? That there is for assault or whatnot. This is
for what?
Assault. Erica also came over to my house again after we had already broken up or whatever, banging on my door or whatnot, almost getting me evicted from my apartment or whatever. She then kicked the door, breaking my molding and whatnot.
All right.
This here's the police report for that.
I don't care about the police report. Where's the bill?
I don't have a bill for that.
So how am I supposed to figure out how much that cost? What'd you kick in his door for,
I've
Erica?
never kicked in the door. I've never kicked the door at all.
All right.
I've never did it.
Well, since he doesn't have a bill, I can't help you anyway. But you certainly are responsible for new locks that he had to put on because your sister kicked in the door. Because your sister was
I
angry.
told her
She
to
came
stop
over with
kicking it in because I had the keys to the door. So there was
She's
no
your
reason.
responsibility, my dear.
I don't tell her what to do.
Fine. Then you know what you should do? Sue her for the $100 because it's coming off your claim. Do you understand that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, what else?
A broken chain. The day Erica came in, the second time she came in and assaulted me or whatever, she broke my chain.
That was my chain.
Shh, shh. No, it wasn't. You gave it to him.
No, I've never given him that chain.
Oh,
he
really?
wore it throughout the relationship. I've never said, here, you could have this chain.
Oh, stop.
I let him wear it.
Stop it. How many years has he worn it?
A year.
That's a long time.
I mean,
now it's
even
become his.
we
Adverse
have been-
possession. Listen, now it's his. She broke the chain?
Yes, Your Honor.
My
Oh, put it back in your pocket. What other damage? Let's hear. Let's hear. You want to give me any other nonsense? I really have a very busy day.
Oh, that's basically all.
Good, fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were dumb enough to buy it, paid
Why
to
would I
have it
have
moved.
to pay for it? I mean, I'm not
Listen, you
understanding.
want him to keep the dinette set?
No, I want the dinette.
Then
set.
get it.
And later today,
Why don't you have a job? What do you
I was
do?
going to school. I was getting ready to go to school.
Going to school and getting ready to go to school.
I had-
dialing different things.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erica Perkins says ex-boyfriend Carl Spratling owes for a loan and for the return of a dinette set. Carl says Erica gave him the money so he could fix his car.
All right, where's the dinette set?
It's in my apartment.
Good, you're going to give it back to her. And we're going to pack it up and we're going to give it back to her. And you're going to give it back to her in very, very good condition. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. I have a question.
Well, I'm not usually here to answer questions, but in your case, I'll make an exception. What's
Okay,
your question?
Well, basically, my question is, why am I giving her a dining room set, which I told Erica not to purchase or whatnot, due to our relationship. We were already on shaky terms. I asked Erica not to purchase this dining room set.
Yes?
I said, Erica, don't buy this dining room set because...
And she
You
didn't
never
listen.
told me that.
Erica?
Okay.
Shut up. So what's your question? You told her not to buy it.
I told her not to buy it or whatnot.
You told her not to buy it.
Correct.
And she bought it anyway.
Correct.
So what's your question?
So I'm wondering, like, I told her not to buy it. She purchased it anyway. She told me, I was like, well, Erica, I don't want you buying this dinette set due to the fact that if me and you were to break up, that, you know, you're going to want to take it with you. I quote, Erica sat there and told me that if me and her was to break up, I can have the dinette set. She was just going to leave with her
No,
items.
that not.
I want you to be quiet if I need you. So what's your question?
Why am I
Why-
returning it when she told me I can have it?
Why are you returning it?
Correct.
I'm going to give you the answer. Because I said so. That's the answer.
Right.
For the same reason that you're going to give her back the $400, which now becomes $300 because I'm taking $100 off for the locks her sister broke. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff following $300 in cash, plus the dinette set is to be packed up. 5 days from today, you arrange for it to be moved to wherever you want it moved. Do you understand?
So I will have to pay for the expenses to it for me so that it could be removed.
You have to pay to have it moved. Yes, you were dumb enough to buy it, pay to
Why
have
would I
it
have
moved.
to pay for it though? to be moved. I understand, but I don't. I mean, I'm not.
Listen, you want him to keep the dinette set?
No, I want the dinette set.
Then get it! Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If she wanted, she can have it. I'll buy my own.
I mean, he did get a young lady pregnant when we worked together.
He told her not to buy it, and she wanted to buy it anyway. It was her stupid decision.
Yeah, this is case number 350 on the calendar in the matter of Armendariz versus Rodriguez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mr. Armendariz, the defendant was married to your father who died in jail recently.
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you married?
14 years.
According to both of you, your father and your husband was a very difficult man. According to both of you, he had a drug problem, he had a bad temper problem, and at the time of his death,
Your Honor.
Listen to me, at the time of his death, you were separated.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also gather from reading the papers that there had been an altercation involving you and your husband, for which he was arrested. Was he taken into custody?
He was taken into custody, but they had taken him to a hospital for evaluation.
So he had problems. It is your claim, sir, that the defendant took a car that belonged to your father that he willed to you.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that after the will was drafted, he gave her power of attorney over the car, and it was her car to sell and dispose of. She further says that you came into the home at some point when your father was either hospitalized or shortly after his death, and sold or took all of the property in the house, property that was their property during the 14 years that they were married.
No, ma'am.
So, shh, that's her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, let me understand the circumstances surrounding your father's death. I believe that you moved in to take care of your father after he was released from psychiatric
I
hospital.
picked him up from the hospital, Your Honor.
Try to pay attention to the broader picture, sir.
Okay.
You were living with him. There was fight. He became abusive, and he was hospitalized.
Yes, ma'am.
He left the hospital, and you went to live with him.
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
June 1st, 2002.
Now, up until 2002, you had been living with him as husband and wife. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When was he taken to the hospital?
In June? Yes, ma'am.
June comes, there's major altercation, he's taken off to the hospital. When he's released, you go to live with your father.
Yes, he needed medical attention, medical help with his medicine. She had left my father.
I didn't ask you anything else.
Okay.
And then there came a time that your father stabbed you in the head.
Yes.
When was that?
That was July the 12th.
So, a short period of time after they decided that he wasn't crazy and that he could leave the hospital, he stabs his son in his head, right?
He was using crack cocaine, Your Honor.
Right. Crack cocaine, drugs, not balanced, stabs you in the head. Police are called, he's arrested, and he's taken to jail.
Yes.
When did he die?
August 27th.
Where was he when he died?
He was in jail.
What did he die from?
I don't know exactly, but he had pulmonary heart disease and cirrhosis of the liver.
Sounds like he was some problem over a long period of time.
Yes, he was, and we tried to help him, Your Honor.
Where do you live?
In Dallas.
Where did he live?
Dallas.
Did you live with your husband continuously, Mrs. Rodriguez, during the 14 years that you were married up until June of 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I'd like to see a copy of your father's will, and I want to see a copy of the power of attorney that his wife says was executed after the will was executed. The date on this was changed, madam.
Yes, ma'am, it was, because I was very confused at the time. He signed it, and I dated it, and I couldn't quite remember when I visited him in jail, because that was signed when he was in jail. He also...
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
This is invalid. Take it and throw it away. Line your garbage can with it. There was a date on there, but it was changed.
Yeah, I did that.
Well,
I did.
then it's invalid.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what you did was you went and got an affidavit of heirship for a car
Yes, ma'am.
saying that your husband died without a will.
Yes.
But he didn't die without a will. He
At
had a
that
will.
time, I didn't know he had a will, ma'am.
Then you were mistaken. He has a will.
I know now he had one.
And I sure think you probably knew. September 12th, 2002. When did you tell your stepmother that he had a will?
I believe July 14th. July the 14th, I gave her a copy of the will that I had
Oh, you did? Where were you when you gave her a copy of the will?
at my house. And she came over and picked it up.
So that you knew, Miss Rodriguez, that he had a will.
Then I did, yes, ma'am.
Well, you signed this in September.
Okay.
So, you knew in September, when you signed this, and swore to the fact that there was no will, that there was a will, and that the will gave the car to your son. Therefore, where is the car?
The car is in my possession.
Car is going to him. Easy. That's easy. So now we've taken care of the car. Do you understand?
Your Honor, may I speak, sir?
You're sure.
When my husband was in jail, I went to go see him. And he told me then, he says, I don't want Tommy to have the car.
That's unfortunate. All I'm telling you is...
And to Your Honor...
listen to me. Listen to me carefully. He gets the car because that's what the law says. Where's the title to the car?
I have it, but it's not in my name. I've sold the car.
You sold... Just a second. Let me see the title to the car. Who did you sell the car to?
We have the original. We have the original.
Who did you sell the car to, Mrs. Rodriguez?
Robert.
When did you sell the car?
I sold the car probably...
Your Honor, that's who she lives with.
I sold the car after I found out all this was going on because Tommy had went and sold my items in my house.
Just a second.
That's a lie,
Well,
Your
we're going to
Honor.
get to that in a second.
Yes, ma'am.
You're slick. You're being slick, and I don't like it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I also had two 25-inch color TVs.
Your Honor, the television there at the house.
No, listen to me. I think you're a hustler. I think you're a hustler, too. I have a feeling you people do deserve each other.
And later today,
Miss Hamilton, what are you complaining about? You came out ahead.
Well,
You have a car. He paid a piece of that car. He has no use of that car. Come on, so far I'm unsympathetic towards your plight.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tommy Amandares says his stepmother owes for the value of a 1990 Beretta. Tommy says the car was left to him after his father died in jail.
Okay. Now, I don't know whether he did the wrong thing by selling the items in your house, and maybe you both deserve each other. But this is playing slick. This Robert is the person you live with?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't ask you anything. Is this the person you live with?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a lot of baloney, just like the other piece of paper that you gave me that
Your
was
Honor,
doctored
I have
up.
the title.
I didn't ask you anything. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I don't want you to say anything else till I ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
What items do you claim that he sold that belonged to you and your husband?
Oh, Lord.
Everything.
Everything that I've
Fine.
accumulated in the
Mr.
past 14
Armendariz,
years.
did you sell anything or dispose of any property that was in your father's house? Now, you make sure that I hear the truth, everything.
My father sold some of his stuff in the garage sale, and some of the stuff is still in the house right here. I've got pictures of it.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you whether you or anyone acting on
No,
your
ma'am.
behalf disposed of any property in the
No,
house.
ma'am.
Nothing.
Nothing. I've got pictures, Your Honor,
Let me see.
of everything she left in the house.
What was the date?
And all this stuff is still there?
15th.
Yes, ma'am. It's all there.
It's all there.
Show this to the defendant, please.
Your Honor, may I say something, please?
No, I want you to look. I want you to follow my directions.
Yes, ma'am.
That stuff is still in the house. Do you want that stuff?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to have it, but there's still some stuff that's not there.
What?
I have two more blue recliners.
Do you have any evidence that he disposed of them rather than your husband disposing them?
I know they were in the house when I last went in there. I have a police report where he called the police on me.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about
Because
from the
he's having a
time you
garage
left.
sale.
Listen to me. From the time you left till the time your husband was taken to jail, there was a period of time there that he could have disposed of certain property.
Yes.
Now, do you have any proof that he disposed of those two recliners that you're looking for and not your husband?
I don't have the proof of that.
Okay,
no, ma'am.
so we have no proof of that. What else is missing other than the two blue recliners?
An entertainment center, which is not in the picture.
Do you know
Your
anything
Honor,
about
my father sold that in the garage sale.
when?
I'm not sure on the date.
It was 5:15 is when we picked him up from Parkland. It was a week later.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I also had two 25-inch color TVs.
Where are those?
My father sold that in the garage sale. He was making room for us to move some of our furniture in the house. So
Why would he sell television sets?
He had a television in each of his rooms.
Well, where are the television sets that are there, sir?
He sold
He
them.
sold them.
No, listen to me. I have a feeling people do deserve each other. If your father had televisions in each room in the house, and I look at those pictures, and I don't see any television sets in those pictures.
There is one television in the house. I forgot to take a picture of it, Your Honor.
I think you're a hustler. I think you're a hustler, too.
Your Honor, the television's there at the house. She
No. You
said
said to me, listen to me. You said to me, these are the things that are in the house. And all of a sudden, you leave out certain electronic equipment.
One television, Your Honor.
No, I don't believe one television. I don't believe that your father would sell all the televisions and leave one television.
I had televisions myself, Your Honor, when I moved in.
And how many televisions were there? No, don't speak. Look, talk to me.
About 3 or 4.
If you say another word, madam,
There
under
was
your
about
breath, you're
3
leaving. Do you
televisions.
understand? Unless I ask you a question.
I think he had about 3 televisions in there, but he did sell them in a garage sale.
I don't believe you. Okay. What's next?
Yes, ma'am. I had a Queen Anne Victorian couch. That's not in the picture?
Couch.
My father sold it, Your Honor. We had furniture, too. He wanted to get rid of his old furniture to make room for our furniture so we'd have a place to put it.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Who are you?
This is my daughter.
Does she have any information about when these items were sold?
Yes, ma'am. And
Step up.
She also has...
Shh.
Okay.
Your last name?
Lamb.
Go ahead.
The Queen Anne Victorian couch would not have been sold by my stepfather for the simple fact it was an heirloom. He treasured that as much as my mother did. There are many items on this list that my father, my stepfather, who to me was my father, that were important to him. There are some things on here that he wouldn't have sold, especially...
Well, I don't know that. Is that what you want to tell me? Sit down. Sit. Okay. This is so easy. Very, very easy. She's a hustler. She had no right to do what she did with your car. The car really should have been yours. Right now, there is a third person who has a title in that car, and I'm not getting involved with it. I might have, under ordinary circumstances, gotten involved with it, but I think that you sold some property. Either sold, kept, moved into your house that belonged to your father, and that you felt as if you were perfectly entitled, since she left, to dispose of and use the property any way you deemed fit.
Your Honor,
I believe that that's what you did. You are not going to convince me that you didn't either take or sell those television sets. And I don't know whether he was attached to a couch or not. Mr. Armendariz, unfortunately, you don't get your car. And unfortunately, you have a counterclaim. And your counterclaim is for property.
Yes, ma'am.
Property that you thought was yours. I hope you got a good price for the car, because you'll have to go and replace some of the items with the money that you got from selling him the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's been pretty hard.
It would have all worked out if he would just let me have my stuff.
She left him. She didn't care about his medical problems.
I'm glad it's over with, because it's been torturing me for a long time.
Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Cantway versus Tyler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cantway, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she has a car that belongs to you that she refuses to return. And at some point in a dispute over the use of that car, your sister assaulted you. Your sister says that the car is hers, you gave it to her, and that she never laid a hand on you. If anything, she was trying to protect you from yourself. So, Ms. Cantway, tell me how it came to be that your sister actually had possession of your car, because clearly the car is in her possession.
Yes. Last year, July 30th of last year, we decided to write up an agreement. I needed to borrow some money. I was having financial difficulties due to a personal situation, and we were going to write up the financial agreement that she was going to loan me the money and use the car. There were other circumstances behind it that she needed help.
Listen to me. Relax. You're going to have a turn to speak. Do you understand? So sometime last year, you were going to write up an agreement.
We did write up an agreement.
Can I see it, please? Now, when did you write up this agreement?
7/30/01.
And what happened? Signed this agreement that you would let her use your 1991 Toyota Tercel and keep it as collateral for $600 loan. You say the loan never came about?
No, the loan never came about.
So, what happened next?
Well, a couple of months went by. We had talked about it a little bit. The situation was good for her at that point because the car that she had been driving, she sold because it was unsafe. She did help me watch my kids, and it was a safe car for her to be able to drive around in. I did have another vehicle at the time.
Where had you gotten this car from?
My mother gave me this car.
When?
Back in 1995.
And you had another car?
At the time that my sister was using mine, yes.
What kind of car did you have?
1996 Camaro.
So what happened a year later?
Well, we had had a few discussions about the car. She was perfectly aware of the situation, that the car was to be used by her, not owned by her. She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay, well, as far as my understanding, she knew.
Just don't tell me what she knew.
In February of the following year, I told her that my Camaro is going to have to go. I'm filing bankruptcy. Well, something happened to the Camaro prior to them repoing it on the bankruptcy anyway, but either way, it was going to go. I told her I have to have the vehicle back. We discussed being able to work out terms of sharing the vehicle so that neither one of us would be without a car.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Cantway. There came a time when you signed over the pink slip to the car to your sister.
Yeah.
When was that?
I think that was probably about a month later, maybe.
A month later when? A month later in?
From the time that we signed the agreement.
So at the end of August?
Yes.
Now, could you explain to me why you signed over the pink slip to your sister?
Because at the time, I did not have a driver's license. And in order to insure the vehicle, it was extremely expensive. The insurance
What do you mean
company,
you didn't have a driver's license? You told me that you had a...
Yeah, I had a car, but that doesn't mean I drove it.
You told me that you had another car that you were driving.
I didn't drive it. I had another car.
Why weren't you driving it?
I didn't have a license.
Why not?
I made a mistake. Something I had to pay for. Has nothing to do with the situation of why I don't have my Tercel now.
If it has anything to do with drinking, it has to do with the situation, because your sister says part of the problem was you're drinking, driving at the same time, and that the altercation that you had that resulted in you say you getting assaulted had to do with her trying to protect you and your children. So what I'm asking you is, you said you'd made a mistake that had anything to do with a DUI that you received.
Yes, ma'am, it did have to do with a DUI.
Okay. So at the time that you gave her the pink slip for the car, that allowed her to put the car in her name.
For insurance purposes.
No. No. That's prima facie evidence of a gift. If you turn over the pink slip, it says that you are now the owner of the car.
I thought I was getting a loan.
But you didn't get the loan.
I didn't get a loan. I gave her time to give me the money. She's supposedly getting a settlement. I needed the money to pay my attorney. She never got a settlement. I never got any money. So I was without my vehicle and without a loan.
So are you telling me, but for the fact that this transaction never took place, you would have sold her your car for $600?
No, collateral.
Well, let us say that she never gave you the money.
Which never happened.
You never took your collateral back because you had already
I tried.
Right.
I tried.
Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to this assault that you allege.
July 4th, my sister I knew was going to the Baptist church with my mother for the fireworks show, so I called and said that I was going to come and use the car in order to take my children to the fireworks. I received a phone call back that I am not allowed to use the car unless I ask nicely. So I drove over to the house to find out what was wrong, what was going on. We ended up getting into an argument about the agreement, about the car. She grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and went down the stairs to get into the vehicle. I sat in the passenger seat, and I turned it off, and I said, you're going to...
No, just a minute. She ran downstairs, and you followed her.
I walked downstairs, followed her, yes.
Go ahead.
I turned off the ignition. As I did that, she reached over, grabbed my hand, scratched up my hand right here. I threw the keys out the window as kind of just a response to being grabbed. She started to claw at me. I threw up my hands, grabbed her wrists, and asked her to stop. What are you doing, is what I said.
Okay, Miss Tyler, I'll hear you.
When we did the agreement, I was the one that did that. I said, Serena, I want to give you something for the car. She said, look, I'll sign over the pink slip. I really don't want the money. But I went ahead and did that anyway.
No, that's not what happened, Miss Tyler. Just pay careful attention to me. That's not what happened. Not unless you can show me that the pink slip to the car was signed over on July 30th.
This was signed over on September the 14th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So it wasn't signed over on July 30th. Well, let's get your story together.
Okay. So anyway.
Now let's start from the beginning so that you can hopefully get your story together properly. Your best defense is the truth. I want you to understand that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. And she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
You signed this piece of paper.
Right.
You signed it.
Right.
This piece of paper says You're getting this car as collateral towards a loan for $600 in which I will repay her at $25 a month. That's what this says.
Oh, that is not the one. I don't have a copy of that.
Really? Oh, show this
No,
to her. I'm
I don't.
sorry.
I don't,
Show that to
Your
her,
Honor.
please. Do you have that?
This is not the one, Serena.
Oh, wait, do you have...
No, I don't have a copy of this.
No, not, do you have a copy of any agreement that you signed?
No.
Okay, but you never signed that?
No.
Good. Can I have it, please?
That is the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay. I
There
don't
is
know
no
that
other
at all.
agreement.
I don't know that at all. Go ahead.
So on September the 14th, my sister signed over the title of the car.
Tell me about the conversation that you had
I
with her.
did tell her I did want to give her some money for the car. This was before she signed this over. I said, I don't feel right about it. But she said, don't worry about it. Mom got the car for me, and it's like a family heirloom. I want to pass it down to you.
That's not true.
Okay. Can I see the pink slip?
I've
Can I see
never called the
title?
car a family heirloom.
Go ahead.
So then after this, I was always driving her kids around because she had 2 DUIs. So I was doing that for her. And I think it was a few months after that, Serena had mentioned that she was behind on her Camaro payments. And so it was not too long after that she totaled the Camaro. And
I didn't total the Camaro.
Yes, you did, Serena.
Ms. Tyler, just talk to me.
She totaled the Camaro. She didn't have any insurance. The car was going to be repossessed. So she hid the car in the garage for 3 weeks. And she went down and she got an insurance company to insure the car. When her boyfriend got back from Spain, they went and they told the insurance company that he was the one that was driving it, so she wouldn't get in trouble because she didn't have a license. So then
I was filing bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but I was going to lose the car. I did not wreck it.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, okay. Then after this, it was like a few weeks after that, her and her girlfriend came up to the house.
You're talking about the incident in July?
No,
July
ma'am.
4th?
She's talking.
This was in the spring of 2002 when she wrecked the Camaro.
Okay, she wrecked the Camaro.
Right, and it was like 2 weeks after that. I was sitting on the front porch, and her and her friend came over, and a friend of hers was outside talking to me, and Serena went in the house, and she said, you need to give the car back to Serena. And I said, what are you talking about?
And what did you do to her?
And I said,
Miss
what are you...
Cantway,
I'm sorry,
I don't
ma'am.
want to hear you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, what are you talking about? And she says, you need to give that car back to Serena. And I says, this is an agreement between me and Serena. It's really none of your business. And I asked her to leave. And then she got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. So I called the cops and asked her to please leave.
Who said that to the friend?
Yeah, her
Okay,
friend of
a
hers.
friend. Keep going.
So then I asked, Serena was there, and I came out. I said, Serena, what is... I called the cops because I said, you got to get this woman off my property.
Okay.
So then I told Serena, I says, what is the deal with the car?
Don't interrupt her.
I'm not interrupting.
She didn't
I was raising
interrupt.
my hand.
No. She didn't interrupt you while you were testifying.
Yes.
When she did once, I told her to be quiet, and she waited. That's what I'm telling you. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
I don't have to say it again. It irritates me to be irritated.
I'm sorry to irritate you.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
Keep going.
So then I confronted Serena because she was there, and I said, what is the deal with the car? What is this about this contract that you're talking about? And she says, well, I was using that against Scott in case he wanted to get his hands on the car. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And I want the car back after you get your settlement. And I'm thinking, and I told Serena, I says, well, Serena, I don't know why you...
What Ms. Tyler is she talking about?
Because I have a workman's comp settlement. I broke my neck, and I'm still recovering from that.
Would you tell me, please, what happened on the 4th of July of 2002?
Yes, Serena wanted to borrow the car, and she had borrowed the car 5 days in a row because I know she was out of vehicle, and I was trying to do the nice thing for her.
And you had your driver's license back at that time?
She did get it back, yeah. So, but during that week, she had, I know this for a fact because she left the house and she drove the car twice drunk, and she let somebody else drive the car. So during that evening on the 3rd, I was sitting on the porch with family members. They were concerned. They said, you're going to have to not let Serena drive the car. So I said, well, I know this is going to be a problem. So the next day when she asked me to use the car, I said, honey, I got errands to run, I said, I'll try to arrange a ride for you, and we'll try to see what we can work out. Well, then she came over shortly after our conversation on the phone, extremely upset with me, yelling and screaming. I said, Serena, quit yelling at me. And then she brought up the contract, the $600. She kept it up, and I said, I've got to get away from here. So I grabbed my keys, and I began to go down the stairs. She followed me. She got in the car. She grabbed the keys. We were like this, and she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window. And then when I waited, I had a second set of keys. When she went back upstairs, I got in the car, rolled up the windows, and I took off, and I went to my cousin's house. And I left town. I left town the following week because I got tired of the abuse, and I moved to Napa.
Miss Cantway, I'm certainly hearing two diverse stories.
I see that, yeah.
My job is made very easy by the fact that neither of you dispute the fact that you signed over the pink slip to this car, not conditionally, not as a lien holder, but for all purposes to your sister. If you had signed it over to her and been a lien holder for $600, because that was the condition of giving it to her, that she would pay you $600 or give you $600, there would have been a lien on the car for $600.
Yeah.
But you did not. You signed it over so that she is now the owner of that car.
Yep.
So your lawsuit with regard to the return of the car is dismissed. With regard to the assault, since I find that this was her car and you had absolutely no right to get into her car, to pull the keys out of the ignition, to stop the car.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. She says it's because you had either let someone else drive the car or
nobody else
family.
drove the
I'm
car.
speaking, or people told her that you were driving the car while you were intoxicated. And if it's her car in her name, she is liable for anything that happens to the car. In any event, you had no right to get into the car, pull the ignition keys out, toss them out, and if she scratched your hand at the time that you were struggling over the car keys, she has a right to do that.
Yes.
Because it's her car.
I had driven the car drunk, Your Honor.
No, it doesn't make any difference.
I took the dog to the vet to be put down, and I picked his daughter up from school.
Let's say you weren't driving the car drunk. You still have absolutely no right to get into her car and touch her property, and she has the right to use whatever force is necessary to get your hands off the ignition keys. And if she scratched your hand while she was doing it, she scratched your hand. That's it. I mean, it's certainly very sad
She neglected to mention to you what she did to the other girl who was supposedly so belligerent at her house. The other girl mentioned, why don't you give the vehicle back to Serena? It is her car. You know what she did to that girl? She grabbed her by the bottom of her neck and scratched her all the way up to her ears.
Now, if this person that you brought to the house said something to her about her child who was murdered in the course
they
of
said nothing about that.
You were inside. You were inside. You were not outside.
I
when
was
that
outside.
No, I don't. Miss Cantway,
the porch.
I don't
right
believe
there.
a whole lot of what you're telling me. What I do believe is that you gave your sister your car because you had another car. You had no use to have for this second car. You had a newer car.
I wish
the
I was
newer.
that
I'm
rich.
speaking. The newer car got repossessed. You said, I want my car back. She said, I'm not giving you your car back. She said, but I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. You use it when you need it, and I'll use it when I need it. And then you had an argument.
No.
And you want a court to resolve it as a family dispute. I don't intend to do that. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You're going to step out.
She's got a lot of animosity to me, and it really hurts my feelings, and I wish she didn't have to come to this.
I just found out the blood's not thicker than water.
She was demanding and wanted it back, and it wasn't just going to work out that way for her this time.
According to her, I'm the spoiled one that gets her way all the time. Well, obviously not, huh?
Maybe somewhere down the road we can settle it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Culp versus Deason. Step forward, please.
Jeffrey Culp and his wife Nancy are suing Nancy's daughter, 23-year-old telemarketer Christy Deason, for the cost to bail her out of jail and for an unpaid loan to get back on her feet.
Mr. and Mrs. Culp, this is your daughter. Is that right?
My stepdaughter.
And how long have you been married to her mother?
We've been married for 9 years, been together a total of 16.
And how old was Miss Deason when you came into her life?
8 years old.
Is that right? Yes. Your lawsuit says that your daughter owes you some money for bail and then some money that you loaned her to help her get back on her feet after a series of mishaps and missteps. The total of those loans is under $1,000.
That's correct.
Your daughter says that there was never an agreement to pay that money back. These were not loans. This was what family does for each other when they're in trouble. And Mr. and Mrs. Culp, I'm here to tell you that I've read your complaint, and quite simply, the complaint says she called you one night a year and a half ago from jail. She had been arrested for what?
Possession of marijuana.
And she said, please come and bail me out. You did.
That's correct.
And then later on, you loaned her money for some clothes and some startup money so that she could get on her feet. So I have a question for you. I don't believe in going to court when you have family, mother, child, father, child, child against parent, unless it's so much money that it really is life-altering money. $987 doesn't come under the category, to me, of life-altering money for anybody. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
This is not life-altering money. So then you tell me why you chose to make an issue of this money, and I'm sure there have been other monies, but why you chose to make an issue of this money rather than just saying, look, I'm not going to loan her any more money, I'm going to write this off. Explain that to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do take care of my son. I do not get child support.
Where's his father?
He doesn't help me.
Why doesn't he help you?
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey and Nancy Culp say their daughter, Christy Deason, owes for bail money and an unpaid loan.
Go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, the money is of little consequence. There has been a history of loans made to Christy. We put her into an apartment. We paid her utilities to get her set up on her own. I spent a year with her child in my custody, living in my home. I paid all of his expenses and his medical bills. We took care of all of his clothing, his food, his shelter. And these are all things that I did because I am a grandfather.
Where was she?
She lived in South Carolina at the time. She was unable to care for him. None of that I'm asking for. This is a case of teaching her some responsibility. I don't think that I or my wife should be responsible for taking care of stupid things like going to jail and fines. We did bail her out of jail. We did move her into our home. We bought her clothing. We set her up with a job. I gave her a car. And she never started the job the first day. She went back to South Carolina and back into her old life.
Where was your grandson all this time?
He was in my custody.
Where is
now,
he?
when she went back to South Carolina, she did take him back with her.
How is he doing?
He's doing very well right now.
Good. With his mother?
That's correct.
Good. And what are you doing now?
I'm a telemarketer, and I wait tables in evenings.
Who takes care of your son?
The school. I got it arranged where I work on the weekends, waiting tables at night, and he goes to his grandmother's house on his father's side.
Where's his father?
He's in South Carolina as well, but he doesn't help me at all.
Well, what does he do?
He sells cars.
Why doesn't he help you?
I don't know. He's court ordered too, and he switched jobs.
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Oh. Good.
Yeah.
He's useless.
Right.
Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Culp, that your daughter seems to be putting things in order at this point?
She is. She is trying. She's maintaining a home. She maintains my grandson. She works 2 jobs.
Great. So why now have you decided to bring this lawsuit?
Because Christy and I have had this conversation over and over again throughout the past year. I have asked her to, if need be, pay $5 a week toward what she owes. You know?
And, Christy, let me hear.
I just don't have the money. I pay all of my bills by myself. I do take care of my son. Like I said, I do not get child support, so I just don't have the money.
Well, let me ask you this question. Sounds to me as if your stepfather has been more like a father to you. Fair statement?
Right.
And what it sounds to me is that both your stepfather and your mother are saying they don't really care about money. They would like you to make some sort of a showing of responsibility. So even if you sent them $5 a month, which you can afford, believe me, you blow that on nonsense, right?
Right.
$5 a month, $1 a week, right?
Right.
A couple of cents a day. They would like you to say to them, by that demonstration, I'm acknowledging that I am responsible for these things, my fines, my bail, the things that I did to get myself into trouble. You have a problem with that?
Well, I think, I helped my parents out when he was in time of need. I was 16. I was going to school. I was working in the evenings after school. I would give them my check every week to help pay bills. And I figured I did this for 2 years. When I helped them, I figured that...
Were you also living in the house?
I was.
Were you also
Your
eating?
Honor, we're talking about a 16-year-old child that worked 10 to 12 hours a week in a fast food restaurant and brought me $20 to feed her and her child.
I worked more than that.
Fine. How much money did you give them?
It was almost $200 every week. Because I worked all day on Saturday and Sundays. And then during the week, after school, I would go in at 5 and I wouldn't get out of there until 11 o'clock at night.
And who was taking care of your son?
My parents did help until my dad couldn't do it anymore and my guidance counselor decided to help me.
But they did, for a while.
Right.
Quite a while, Your Honor.
How long is quite a while?
We did this for 2 years.
Now, Miss Deason, what I'm suggesting to you is that you were found guilty and were arrested for the commission of a crime. It may have been at your time of need, but when a court says, I want you to pay this fine, they don't mean, I want your parents to pay the fine. You're supposed to pay the fine to teach you a lesson. Do you understand? There's a difference. You're supposed to pay the fine so that it hurts you in the pocketbook. Not so that it hurts them in the pocketbook, so that it hurts you. That's different from if the family loses a job or something and everybody has to pitch in a little bit more, or if you go have a baby when you're 15 years old so that the household needs more money so that you're helping out a little bit more and they're helping out a little bit more. That's what family does for each other. But when you commit a crime and you're ordered to pay a fine, it's supposed to hurt you. It's supposed to make you think twice about doing it again. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, in that regard, they're right. And I think that they would be happy with $5 a month, just as long as you're saying, I admit that I did something wrong, and I am going to be responsible by paying the fines for the crime that I committed. Fair?
Very fair, Your Honor.
Very good. On those terms, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $987. That's all.
Now this is case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Arias versus Arietta. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. You okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have seats, please.
Miss Arias, for some reason only known to you and those nearest and dearest to you and some being up there, you were dumb enough to give the defendant your ATM card and your PIN number. He is neither related to you by blood or marriage, correct?
Correct.
And it is your claim that without your permission, because you gave it to him for one thing, because he needed gas for his car and he didn't have any money. And without your knowledge and permission, he emptied out your bank account and just kept using your card. And you want your money back.
Yes.
Mr. Arietta says that you did, in fact, take money out of your ATM, using your ATM card. And he took money out of your bank account. And he took it out to pay for a variety of things. And he did it with your permission. Because you gave him the card and said, whatever you need, just don't shake your head, please. Whatever you need, here's my card. And you can take it out. That's your position. Is that right, Mr. Arietta?
Yes, it is.
And how much money did you, in fact, take out of her ATM?
I believe it was around $750 and up. Could have been.
700. Did you understand what he said after $750?
And up it could have been.
And up it could have been. Up it could have been. Is that some sort of language that I'm not aware of?
Could have been more.
It could have been more. That I do understand.
Okay.
How much money did he withdraw from your bank account?
A total of $1,103. 104, I'm sorry. With
$1,104.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Arietta, he's not exactly sure. He said it could have been $750 and up from there.
Yeah. Well, he pulled out a bunch of receipts. He should know.
First, I'd like you to tell me how you know him.
We've been friends for about 6 years now. We went to high school together since freshman year. We've never had problems, always got along just fine. There's times where we don't see each other, times we do run into each other.
I don't need a whole story.
Yeah.
That's how you've been friends.
Yeah, we've been friends.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a receptionist at a hospital.
How long have you been employed as a receptionist at a hospital?
For about 10 months now.
And you have a responsible job?
Yeah.
You go to work every day?
Sure.
And you take your paycheck and you pay your bills?
Yes.
Put your money in your account? You went to the bank and opened up a checking account? Is that right?
Yes.
And they gave you a secret PIN number? And they were very careful when they gave you a secret PIN number. You know, they made you go like this.
Yeah.
You know, so that the lady who was, or man who was giving you the PIN number, they couldn't see what you were doing.
Yeah.
Now tell me why you were dumb enough to give Mr. Arrieta your ATM card and your PIN number.
Basically,
Not basically. Tell
the
me
reason
exactly.
the reason
When?
why.
Yes.
The reason why is because he had called saying that, you know, he and my sister here had a previous relationship where she had a kid out of the relationship and a paternity test was never done. Now, he won a settlement. He was in an accident a while ago. He won a settlement and he called on the 19th saying, I have the money now. I want to pay for this, you know, the blood test to get done, the paternity test. So when he called, he didn't have the money. He had to go pick it up at his lawyer's office. And when he called me, it's because he needed the money to put gas in his car to get there, which was out of town.
So he came over to your house?
No, I was at work. But he came to my house because he had previously tried to borrow my sister's credit card.
And did you tell him when you wanted him to return the car?
I told him to return it that same evening when I got out of work, which he agreed because he was going to come by.
All right, Mr. Arrieta, now I'd like to hear your version of the events, sir.
Well, I've known the defendant
No, I want you to.
I've known the defendant for several years, as she explained. I did have relations with her sister. It wasn't
I'm not interested about her sister and your relations with her sister.
The day that I asked for the card, I went to her sister. Her sister gave me a card which didn't work. It was declined. And then so...
What did you go to her sister's house for? To get a card for what?
To get a card for... I told her I needed some money, that I didn't have no money for the weekend. So she said, well, I'll give you some money. Because my thinking was because she thinks...
I don't care what you were thinking, sir.
Well, I asked her for some money.
I don't think that you think.
I asked her for some money, and she was willing to give me some money. Her card declined. That's when I called her and I told her.
Called who?
Called Priscilla.
Put your hand down. When did you call her?
I called her. I never had to call her. Priscilla had told me to go straight to her work, that her sister was willing to give me the card.
When you got there, did you see Adriana?
Yes, I did.
And tell me exactly what happened when you saw Adriana.
When I saw her, she smiled at me, gave me a hug. Hey, how you been? I miss you. It's been a long time. Spoke for a little bit about things, and then...
No, tell me what you spoke about.
We spoke about her nephew, which she claims to be my son.
No, what did you say and what did you say?
I said hello. She said hello back. And that was basically...
I want you to think hard.
For the card?
No, think hard. Think hard. You said hi, she said hi, gave you a big hug, and then she said what?
She didn't say nothing. I asked her how her job was going.
And she said?
She said it was going great. She works at the eye doctor.
And then you said?
I came over here to get the card that your sister told me to get because hers declined. She gave me her card and her PIN number.
Mm-hmm. And then where did you go?
Immediately after that, I went to go get repairs for my truck. Went to get a cell phone.
What, are you an idiot? Are you stupid?
No.
What?
No.
Do you come from a long line of idiots?
No, I didn't.
What?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
Me? I don't work.
Me.
I'm a chef.
Me.
Me?
I know what I do for a living. I know what he does for a living. I want to know what you do for a living. I don't want to know what this idiot does for a living because he can't keep a straight face. I want to know what you do for a living.
I'm a part-time chef.
So that means you work in a restaurant?
I work voluntarily sometimes here and there for
You work
weddings.
voluntarily, so who takes care of you?
I'm sorry?
What word don't you understand, Mr. Arias, that I just said?
Can you repeat the question?
Who takes care of you?
I live with my parents.
How old are you?
22.
What does your father do?
He's a machinist.
And your mother?
She doesn't work. She's a housewife.
And you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
My brother's 26. My sister's 23.
Is your brother living at home?
No, he's not.
What does mean? Are you thinking of the answers?
Yeah, because sometimes he
try
tries to...
Try not to think of the answers. Try just to tell the truth.
Yes, he does.
Good. He lives out of the house.
Yes.
And your sister?
She also lives out of the house.
Lives out of the house. She's 23.
Correct. 23.
All right. And is she married?
No.
Is she working?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She works as a receptionist for a doctor.
And how long has she been living out of the house?
6 years.
And your other brother? How long has he been living out of the house?
4 years.
So the only one that can't get their act together is you?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test, I will never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. The guy's a jerk.
And later today,
Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore.
She said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Adriana Arias says former friend Nicholas Arrieta used her ATM card to steal from her account. Nicholas says he had permission to take the money.
Now, you take from your parents, you consider that their responsibility to support you. Is that right?
No, that's not the way I feel.
Well, then why do you continue to take from them?
I don't take from them.
Of course you do.
No.
Do you pay for the electricity in the house?
If I have money, I will pay for it.
How do you have money if you don't work? Is not an answer.
Part-time.
Part-time what?
When I do part-time chef, when I do cooking, sometimes
When
for
was
weddings.
when was the last time you did part-time
2 weeks
work?
ago.
For whom?
For a friend.
Friend's name, telephone number.
George.
George what? And what kind of cooking did you do for George? What is his phone number?
Should I give you the whole food meal, the course of
No,
what I cook?
what kind of work did you do for him? At a
I
restaurant?
cooked. No, I
Where?
cooked. At his home.
Oh, you went to his house?
Yep.
Why you would want him to declare the father of a goldfish, I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue.
My son's 4 now, so it
What?
was a long time ago.
Yeah, but why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test, I will never, never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. As far as I'm concerned, you made a mistake. Write it off. Write it off. The guy's a jerk. However, he's a jerk that owes your sister $1,104, judgment of the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I called him and, you know, I'll call you back, never called back, so I kind of figured something was up.
It was a gift, so why should I pay her back?
He's basically worthless. He has nothing going for himself, and he brought this upon himself.
And now,
She was being reckless. I don't think I was reckless driving.
We don't talk no more.
and now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sharon versus Johnston. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Courtney Sharon is suing her former co-worker, 25-year-old animal hospital manager Felicia Johnston, for destroying her homecoming gown.
Miss Sharon, according to your complaint, you loaned the defendant a dress. It was a formal dress that you had worn to your homecoming party or something, some other such thing. And she returned it eventually ruined. You want her to pay $500. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I returned
And Miss I didn't ask anything yet. And Miss Johnston, is your claim that you believe that she didn't want the dress back when she ultimately said she wanted it back, you put it in a bag, and you gave it back to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you lend her the dress? Under what circumstances did you lend her the dress, and when did you ask for it back?
I lent her the dress. It was around August of 2001 when she was hired at the clinic, and she was my
What
boss.
clinic?
Talgie Road Veterinary Clinic. It's a member of the Pet's Choice Company. They have
So
clinics.
she was hired at the same place that you were working?
Yes.
How come she asked you for a dress? Tell me
There
when.
was a Pet's Choice event that she needed a formal gown for, and of the people who worked at the clinic, I was most close to her size, I guess.
Where were you when she asked? I mean,
we
you
were at
alone?
work. So
Were you? I know you have a fixed agenda. Listen to me. Did she come to you individually and ask you for a dress, or did she say to a group of people, anybody have a dress I can borrow?
it was in a group setting, but she asked me specifically.
And you said?
I said, as long as you return it dry cleaned in the condition that I loaned it to you, which didn't seem like it would be that difficult to do, then I don't mind.
Fine.
You know, I really didn't want to, but she's my boss, so.
How many times had you worn it?
I had worn it once for about 3 hours, and it had been dry cleaned afterwards and kept in a cedar closet wrapped
Is that
up.
the way you gave it to the defendant?
Yes. I have photographs of the dress, you know, what it looked like when I loaned it to you. And
When did you first ask for it back?
About 2 weeks after she wore it, and she said that it was at the dry cleaners, which I assumed to be a pretty logical explanation to where the dress was.
Okay, good. And so you asked for it 2 weeks later, and then again?
Again, about a month later, and then about 2 months later, and 3 months later. And in the meantime, she started to sabotage my job, and I quit. And at that point, I really got after her about getting it back, and she kept saying it was at the dry cleaners. She wasn't real specific.
Let me see the dress. Bert, could I
If
see
you
the
look
dress,
at
please?
the bottom hem, she pulled it down and then tried to hot glue it back together, and
Can I
the
see
lining
it?
is ripped.
Bert, would you hand this back to the plaintiff and ask her to point out on the dress where it's ruined?
Thank you. There's little rips and tears in the fabric, but the thing
No,
that,
I want you to show me exactly where.
Okay.
The big thing that you're talking about is what?
if you look at the bottom hem, it's totally seared off right here, and it's been let go. There's a big rip right there, and the seam has been let down and then tried to reattach with hot glue.
She's shorter than you are.
I don't know why she would do this.
Listen to me. She put a hem on your dress.
Yes, with hot glue. And also, there's these huge, huge rips in the lining.
Well, she did that because she couldn't shorten the dress without cutting the lining.
Yeah, and
right?
then there's
right?
a big old rip
Actually,
right here.
I can't hem. I can't sew.
Apparently
I have
not,
no
because she
creative.
used hot glue to hem.
I'm not speaking to you.
Yeah.
I have no creative bone in my body. I didn't hem it. I wear big heels.
Just a second.
Okay.
Clearly, the dress was, somebody attempted to make the dress shorter. Could have been Velcro that somebody tried to iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
There was in the lining right there, because when I stepped up on a step, I had on big heels, and I did step on the lining, and it did tear the lining.
So then you tried to
But that
fix
was the only thing that was torn was the lining, and I did try to fix the lining, yes. But since it's mesh, you can't really
okay.
sew it.
Would you like to see
Yes. Now, let me take a look.
And if I can have my mom, she'll testify to the condition it was returned in. The dress,
Well, I
I
see it
wouldn't
now. You
load
didn't have
it
it
out
clean.
the way that it looked.
You didn't have it clean, did you?
No.
Oh.
She didn't either.
Oh, I see what happened. Your heel went through the dress.
Right.
It's happened to me.
If she would
But
have
I was wearing my own
fessed up,
dress.
it would have been
held
okay.
in short.
Okay. Here you go. Thank you. Give it back to her. Okay. How did she return it to you?
It was wadded up in a plastic grocery bag, and it wasn't handed to me. It was thrown at me by Sandy.
Okay.
And
Who's
she told
Sandy?
me
This
she didn't
one?
want to hear anything else about the
Yes,
damn
ma'am.
dress.
This is Sandy.
This is
And it was given to you in a shopping bag, grocery bag.
Right.
Okay, Miss Johnson, I'll hear from you.
Basically, I was invited to a play that we had to do for work. And we were in my office, and we were discussing that I needed a dress. Never asked anybody for a dress. I have one at home that I was talking about. I just needed a shawl. The next day, she came in with a dress that had a shawl, and she said, I have this one. She is known for kissing up and what have you with the doctors that had worked there before I got there. So she brought me in this dress, and I was like, well, you know, I don't feel comfortable borrowing a dress. And she said, well, don't worry about it. I don't wear it anymore. I've only worn it once. So I borrowed it. A week later, I borrowed it. It was at home. A week later, she asked me about it, and I said, yes, I was going to get it dry cleaned for you. There was no agreement beforehand. I said, yes, I was going to get it dry cleaned for you. She said, don't worry about it. I won't ever wear it again anyway.
You ultimately returned the dress to her in a shopping bag.
Yes.
Wrong!
Right. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
That's why I'm here.
Right. But
that's why I'm here. You borrow a dress, you do the responsible thing. If you're the responsible adult, and she's the young associate, you do the responsible thing. You borrow a dress, you wear it, you take it to the cleaners, you have it cleaned, and you return it.
Right.
Now, you were probably embarrassed because you would rip the dress, sort of let it slide. That doesn't mean that your dress, Miss Sharon, appreciates in value. It's not an antique. Let me explain something to you. You didn't spend $500 for that dress.
I spent more than that. I have records and everything.
Oh, well, I'd like to see.
Okay,
I'd like to see the bill and the check that you wrote for that dress for $500.
We don't have the bill and the check because you can't return formal gowns, but about a week ago, my grandmother went to the Jessica McClintock store.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want to see your check or a paid bill for how much you paid for the dress.
Your
What?
Honor, Sandy was there. I asked Courtney, I said, okay, it was a misunderstanding. When I asked you or told you about the dress, she said, don't worry about it. I won't ever wear it again. So I didn't. I mean, I honestly didn't. I go to work. I go to school. I have a 3.5-year-old.
I don't care.
Whatever. Yeah. So anyways, so she told me the dress was $150. The dress was $150. Sandy heard it. So I said, okay, well, since it was a misunderstanding, I'll pay you $75. That was before she quit. I went to a meeting 2 days later. I get a call from my receptionist, whoever, saying that Courtney never showed back up for work again, blah, 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 blah. Her mother starts calling saying she's a marketing saleswoman and needs the number to my corporate office. They're writing letters, trying to get my corporation to pay for it. The dress went from $150 to $300 to $500 to $700.
She ruined the dress.
Exactly.
She ruined the dress. She didn't ruin the dress on purpose, by the way, by putting her heel through it.
No,
of course that was. She didn't ruin it on purpose. But if she would have said to you immediately, listen, I ruined the dress. There's no point in having it cleaned because you're not going to be able to wear it because you're taller than I am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be Unless you put beading all around the bottom or something
Yes.
else, which you could do. I mean, if you ever wanted to wear this dress again, you can do it. There is a way of fixing it. But that would
Well, we need to
involve
talk
you.
because I do want to do that.
What?
I would, if I could in any way salvage this gown.
Oh, you can salvage it.
Yes.
Believe me, I've looked at it. Other than the bottom, which you need because you're a little tall. I'm
yes.
speaking. Don't you understand when I'm speaking? I'm not interested in what you're saying. And neither is he. You can save that dress if that's what you want. And I believe you can save that dress for $250. You can put a nice border on the bottom and have it clean for $25, and then you have a brand new dress that you put back. So I'm giving you a judgment for $250 because I think that the dress is worth at least that in salvage. That's all.
Case number 182. All parties in the matter of Arvizu versus Lawrence, step forward, please.
36-year-old police officer Edward Arvizu claims Deborah Lawrence's daughter, 14-year-old Autumn, made unauthorized phone calls on his calling card.
Mr. Arvizu, you have a daughter.
Yes, I do.
And the defendant has a daughter.
Yes.
And your two girls were best friends
Yes.
for a long time. For how long?
About 8 years.
And then I gather that there was a time when your nephew, who lived out of state, came to visit you for a while.
Yes, it was early of April this year.
And the defendant's daughter sort of developed an attachment for your nephew.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then he went back home.
Yes.
What state do you come from?
Arizona.
And what state does the nephew come from?
California.
After he went home, you got a whopping telephone bill.
Yes, I did.
$1,042.42. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So did you call a phone company and...
I noticed that I recognized all of the numbers.
And whose numbers were they?
The originating number was from my sister's house, where my nephew lives, and...
What were these, collect calls or?
Calling card.
Calling card?
Yes.
Oh, so somebody got a hold of your calling card.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The numbers that the calls were placed to were also familiar. My daughter said, "That's Autumn's number, Dad." So...
That's Autumn.
Yes.
So what did you do next?
I called my sister, sent her a copy of the bill. She was not happy, but was willing to accept the responsibility. And I also did the same thing with Autumn's mother, sent her a copy of the bill. She
I was
told
never
me...
mailed a copy of the bill.
She told me that I got a call back a few days later that she would only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. And at this point on the first bill, it was only like $12.96.
Okay. Well, that would be fair, to only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. But then you got another bill.
Yes.
What was the next bill?
$1,451.40.
And how much of that bill is attributed to phone calls that Autumn made?
I only have it figured out with tax and from the prior month. For the second month, $1,349.35.
So she made all the calls?
Yes.
Next month. Plus $1,296.
Yes.
So, $1,352.31.
When their nephew came to visit, a crush happened for both of them. It wasn't just one. She was 13, he was 17. Their son drove the nephew home, and apparently the son had left his wallet there because he had expressed to Autumn he needed to mail it back. How he got the PIN number, I do not know. But the calls originated from him. When he spoke to my daughter, he said, "Call me at this number," and...
He gave her a calling card.
Well, he didn't give her a card. He gave her
the
a
number.
card number and a
Okay,
pen
Autumn, did you recognize the number on that card?
At first.
You've called that number many times over the last 8 years, isn't that right? Because your friend lives there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you realize that card had the same telephone number as your friend, as the Arvizus, right?
Yes.
Who'd you think was going to pay for that?
I didn't think about it at
Right, you didn't think about it. That's the
when
bottom line of it.
When he gave her the number and the pen number, the only calling cards that Autumn has ever had are the ones that you buy in stores. The pen numbers are not attached. They're ones that you create. And he told her this was, you make your own pen number. You make your own, you have the number, but you don't have a pen number. You make your own.
So what?
He told her it was his.
So what?
And that this was okay.
and that when she asked how many minutes were on it, he said unlimited.
Did you have that whole conversation with him?
Yes.
You see, 13-year-olds are very smart, Ms. Loren. 13-year-olds are so smart when it comes to these numbers. They know all about that.
No, they don't. No,
yeah,
at
they
least
do.
not my daughter does not.
Well, who do you think should pay this $1,349.35? Him?
No, I think that the nephew should.
He's 17. He's not responsible to pay anything.
He is the one who got the number. There is no way that
Listen.
she could have.
Listen to me.
She would
Listen
not
to me.
have done anything that would have caused somebody to pay a lot of money.
Responsibility. She lives in your house, right?
Yes, she does.
Did she use your telephone to call him?
Yes, she did.
To call him. How much of a phone bill did you get?
Because he gave her a number for a calling card that was prepaid.
Answer my question. Did she use your telephone?
No. Yes, she used my telephone.
But she did not bill it to you?
No.
And that's because she knows that calling costs money.
Yes. But
you know how long you have to sit on the phone to work up a bill of $1,362.31? A very, very long time.
Yes.
Now, in the second month, most of those calls came from her.
Well, he would page her on her pager using the calling card, and then she would return the call.
Your Honor, I have the bills here that show how many times she called. The times are on the bill.
Oh, she called him and sat on the phone with him, right?
Yes.
Is this the nephew?
Yes, it is.
Step up here. What's your name?
Brandon.
Where'd you get the card from?
I found it on the floor in my cousin's room.
And you knew it was
Just
the
the
wrong
number,
thing to
though.
do to have it, right?
No, I didn't find the card. I just found the number.
The number?
Yeah, it was written down on a piece of paper.
So what'd you use it for?
At the time, I wasn't thinking.
Well, you weren't thinking a lot.
Pretty much.
What happened in the second month? You stopped calling so much.
I just didn't call. I just paged her, and then she'd call me back.
Why?
I don't know. I just got...
What do you mean you don't know?
I didn't...
Did you get in trouble with your mother?
No.
Did your mother say anything about the first bill?
The second bill did not show up until, wasn't even knowledgeable until after they had stopped making calls because of the way that they mail out the bills. There was no knowledge of a second month until after the calls had stopped.
You have to accept responsibility for what your daughter did.
My daughter didn't do anything intentionally. She trusted this boy. He told her it was a calling card number that was prepaid.
What? So what?
She
He's
would
the
never
innocent.
have done it. She would never have used it because she adores this family. She's known
What
them for
grade are you
many
in
years.
school?
9th.
How do you do in school?
Good.
Let me hear what was your grade last semester in math?
A.
What was your grade in English?
A.
What was your grade in social studies?
A.
So you're not stupid.
No.
No, but
Judgment for the
naive to
plaintiff in the
world.
amount of $1,362.31. Don't avoid responsibility. It's
I
a
was
very,
not avoiding
very
it.
bad lesson and message to send to your daughter.
No, it was
That's
a
all.
bad
Parties are
message for him.
excused. You may step back. This is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter of Nickerson versus Monk. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Nickerson, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and it is your claim that he purposely totaled your car by smashing into it. This was after he had ceased to be your boyfriend.
Right.
Mr. Monk does not deny that he did, in fact, smash into your car, but he has two defenses. One, it was that it was really just an accident, and second, that you should have had more insurance. Right?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure I got it right. When did he cease being your boyfriend?
That night.
It was a good answer. When did this happen?
August 7th.
Where were you?
I was at a friend's house.
Male friend?
Yes.
About what time?
About 7, 8-ish.
He came over.
He followed me.
What happened?
He knocked on the door, and my friend said, "I think your boyfriend is outside." I said, "Oh, no, quit playing." And then he got more furious. "Aisha, if you don't come out here." And so I finally...
You mean the defendant got more furious?
Yeah. He started yelling my name, and I was paranoid. And then I finally opened the door, and I came out there, and he was ranting and raving.
What was he saying to you?
Oh, it was belligerent.
What was he saying?
Oh, you know, how could you do this to me? Why are you here? Yada, yada.
And what did you say to him?
You know, I just said I was over a friend's house. By this time, I'm mad because he's embarrassing me at my friend's house. So I was getting upset with him, and I told him none of his business. And then he got more upset. Then this is in the back of the house, and then we're walking. He threw someone's garbage can on the ground, and I'm paranoid. And then I got on my cell phone. I called the police because he was getting violent. He was getting in my face.
He was getting in your face, and he threw somebody's garbage can?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then we proceeded to the front where my car was parked, and his car was parked on across the street. Okay, and then we were arguing, and then he got in his car. It looks like he was going to take off and leave, but I guess the devil got in him. And so he did a donut, and he sped and totaled my car. 360 turn and totaled my car.
What kind of car did you have?
A 2001 Corolla Toyota, 3 months old. My first new car.
Okay. You have a different version of what happened?
Yes.
I'll hear you.
First of all, we were still together on that day when.
Okay, you were still
when
together.
the thing happened, yes. And I did not follow her. I was not following her. I was on my way somewhere else, and I just happened to pass by that area, and I seen her car outside the home.
How big an area do you live in?
What do you mean?
You live in a city or?
Yeah, it's a town. It's a town.
How many people live in that town?
I don't know, a couple thousand, about 50,000.
So you're just around 50,000. So you
Yeah,
just happen to be
more,
going down
more.
that street.
Yeah, I was going down that street.
Okay, go ahead.
Where I was going, I was passing that area.
I got you.
But anyway.
Believe me, I got you. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I see her car there. So I was on my way to do something, so I continued to do what I was doing. I called her cell phone.
When you said you saw her car there, was it parked in the street or in a driveway?
Yeah, it was parked on the street. The street I'm going down, if I look that way, I can see her car parked right there. And I know her car, and I know that she knows people that stay in that house. That's why I knew it was her.
Ah, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I proceeded to call her on the phone, and she didn't answer her phone, so that made me suspect something even further. So after I finished doing what I was doing, I came back over there, and I knocked on the door. Nobody answered, so that, like she said, that made me more mad, and I was getting restless and upset. So I was calling her name out, and finally she came out. We got in a heated discussion. Things were getting too hot, you know, I was getting too upset, so I jumped in my car and I proceeded to leave. My car was parked opposite of hers on the other side of the street. I went to make a U-turn. By this time, I'm so upset that I'm driving reckless. So I lost control when I was coming back after making a U-turn, and my car went into hers.
Right. Okay, now, let's talk about the damage. The car's been totaled?
It's totaled. It was not up.
What kind of insurance did you have on this brand new car?
The worst insurance in the world. Due to my age, I had to go with the cheap insurance. So I went to this place, but it was full coverage because you can't drive it off the lot without full coverage. So they're telling me they can only pay the blue book. So apparently the dealer must have gotten over on me on the overall price of the car, which, regardless of the case, I paid for it. That was my decision.
Let me see the paperwork. How old are you?
24.
So, according to this letter from the insurance company, they're prepared to give you $14,541.
Right.
And did you have a loan on this car?
Yes.
And what was the total loan amount on the car?
$19,100 something.
Who went with you to buy this car?
He did.
Did you shop around at all?
Yeah. I was shocked I got approved. I was happy. It had a nice steering wheel.
A nice what?
Steering wheel. Leather.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at customer service.
For whom?
Kaiser.
For how long?
3 years.
How much do you earn?
Not a lot.
How much do you earn?
Yearly, about $30,000.
How many payments did you make on this car?
Like 4 payments.
And how much were your payments?
$365.
A month?
Yes. Plus $120 of that insurance.
$120 of the $365 was for insurance?
Mm-hmm, the insurance. That lousy insurance. Can I say their name? The insurance name?
Sure.
I can?
Sure.
They suck.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aisha Nickerson claims ex-boyfriend Carl Monk crashed into her car during a jealous rage. Carl says it was definitely an accident.
What percentage of interest do you have on this loan? Do you know?
10%. 10.9.
You're not a very good shopper.
I was just with her. I wasn't helping her along.
Well, you have to deduct the payments that you've already made to the company because you don't have a payout figure, do you?
No.
Okay. That would leave a balance that you owe the company of about $3,765. Now, Mr. Monk, you hit a car.
Yes.
You gotta
It was an
pay.
accident.
Well, it wasn't her accident. It was your accident.
But it was an accident.
No, it wasn't her accident. It was your accident. She wasn't in her car. Her car was standing. Her car didn't move over to your car. Right?
Right.
You hit her car.
True.
All riled up, angry, whatever else it was. Her car's not responsible for your anger. You are. So you got to pay her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,765. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back. This is case number 2. This is case number 170 on the calendar in the matter of Shariat versus Southard. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Shariat, according to the complaint that I've read, you rented an apartment from the defendant. The apartment was on his property, adjacent to a shop that he had, some sort of shop where he did work. You moved into the apartment in September of 2000, is that
Yes.
right? And it is your claim that you lived there from September, October, November, December, and moved out sometime in January, is that right?
No, I had a 6-month lease, which would have ended the end of February.
I asked when you moved out.
Okay, I stayed 2 more months after this. It was I moved out. April. I was forced to move out.
Just
April
just
6th.
tell me when you moved out.
April 6th.
So you stayed beyond your lease.
Yes.
And you want many things. You want him to pay you for 2 months' rent. You want him to reimburse you for your security deposit. You are charging him with sexual harassment. And you are charging him with an excessive electricity bill because you say that your apartment was also hooked up to his shop. So you got an excessive electricity bill.
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay. What problems do you claim that the defendant caused you that would inspire me to return rent to you?
Okay. I ended up in the hospital 4 different times.
When? When was the first time?
11/28 is the first hospital report. I had
November 28th?
Yeah.
And what were you hospitalized for?
Well, I went in there for chemical poisoning, which they couldn't test for because there's 150 chemicals out there. But it ended up I had a carbon monoxide level of 10.1.
Okay, that's in November.
10.5,
Ms.
yeah.
Shariat, listen to me. That's in November.
Yeah.
Then you went back to the apartment.
Yeah.
When were you hospitalized again?
Okay, the next one was January 5th.
And why did you go to the hospital January 5th?
That time I was vomiting profusely within 1 hour. And again, they detected even a higher carbon monoxide level. That came to 12.1%.
Okay, and then you went back to your apartment?
No, they said don't go back. It's health hazardous. I
So-
checked into a crisis shelter.
But you told me you stayed in the apartment until April 6th.
Well, I was going to tell you I couldn't for 6 days. I was at a crisis shelter. I was too ill.
But then
I
you
did
went
go
back
back
to the apartment.
I did go back after that.
Okay, and you stayed then in January, and in February, and in March. Is that right?
Yes, and I also...
When was your next hospitalization?
Okay, it was in April, the beginning of April.
No, that amounts to 3.
Yes.
You said you were hospitalized 4 times while you were living there.
No, I have 3 reports. I did make a mistake. I did go to an allergist. I may have counted that, feeling ill, but it was not the hospital.
Okay.
I have
Now
an allergist report.
Now, what rent do you want him to give you back?
I feel after the end of November that it was a very miserable situation.
Then you should have moved.
I had nowhere to move, and I had a 6-month
That's not his
lease.
problem. That's not his problem. You don't live out the terms of your lease. I mean, unless there's something wrong
Well,
with you.
it's better than going back into a slum apartment where I came from.
Then that's the choice you made, right?
Yeah.
You stayed there November when you felt sick. You stayed there December, you felt
Yeah.
sick. You stayed December, January,
Yeah.
February, March. Then you move out in April, and
Yeah.
then you sue him for rent. Forget rent. Forget it. All right, let's get to the security deposit. Did he keep your security deposit?
Oh, yeah.
How much was your security deposit?
$400. And I
Did
also...
she give what?
Excuse me. I also paid $400 in April and had to leave on the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she give you $400 for April?
Yes, ma'am. She did not have all of her stuff out by the end of April.
Just a minute.
Also,
When did you move out all of your stuff?
I had to stay with my friend.
I don't care what. I don't care
And
where
I
to
came
stay.
back on the 13th, and I tried to start moving it. I was unable to because of the
If your
fumes.
stuff is there, you're there.
Okay, it was completely moved out April 16th.
Why did you keep her security deposit?
I have pictures here where she busted down one of the beds that was left in there for him to use, unrepairable. And also, I have pictures of the apartment, what the apartment was here, but also a spot on the carpet in the front room coming in that will not come up, and the shower stall, which was left so dirty in the bottom that the stains will not come out of the bottom.
Show me the bills to have all of that stuff fixed.
Your Honor. Shh. Oh,
show me the bills to have all of that stuff fixed. Either you paid to have it fixed, or you have estimates about
I did not have the bills on it. The bed was unrepairable, so I got rid of it.
Forget it. She gets her security back. Unless you have bills to show me what it costs to clean the carpet, repair the carpet, clean up the shower, anything else, she gets her security deposit back. Do you understand that?
Yes.
How much was her security deposit? $400?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. So it's $400 on her side, but no rent. You stayed, that's your problem. Now, let's get to the electricity bill.
Okay. It comes to $1,032 right here. And I have an inspector's report showing that he was
For how many months is the $1,032?
For the entire time I was able to live there. That would be until April 6th.
So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, part of April. So you're talking about almost 8 months. Is that right?
Yes. But the thing is, I had virtually no heat while I was living there.
Just a minute. $129 a month. Now, is there electric heat?
Yes, in one room.
Is the electricity from her apartment tied into any other area in your home or business?
Yes.
Which place? The shop?
The shop, it wasn't used. It's used to run an air compressor once in a while.
She's not going to pay for that.
Okay, and some fluorescent lights in there once in a while. It was hardly there.
Well, how were you supposed to divide this electricity bill? She shouldn't be responsible for all of the
She did not
electricity.
pay any of the water bill. I took care of the water bill, and when she moved in, she was supposed to pay all the electricity bill.
She was supposed to pay all the electricity bill for her apartment, not for your shop. Did your lease require...
It's all connected in one meter, and that was in the agreement when she moved in.
Show me, because I would think that you have to be crazy to say, I'll pay for my apartment and your shop too, even if you only use the shop occasionally. That's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julia Shariat says former landlord Bernard Southard tried to poison her with pesticide. Julia is also accusing Bernard of propositioning her for sex.
Do you have a written lease with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it? Okay. Did you pay for any water usage when you were there?
No.
Because this says that you shall be responsible for the utilities, including water. Now, Mr. Southard says that you didn't pay for the water, but he has to show me the water bills. You have water bills?
No, ma'am, I did not bring the water bill.
How large is this apartment? Put your hand down. I don't need you.
Okay, it
How
was
large
about
is this apartment?
Probably 1,500 to 1,700 square feet. Had virtually no heated, only heated one room. He was in the shop and warehouse 10 to 12 hours a day most of the time. I need to say also something about the shower. It was
I
loaded.
didn't ask you about a shower. Let me see the bill, the electricity bill.
Okay.
Springfield, Illinois. It gets very cold in the wintertime, doesn't it there?
I was living in about 50.
I'm asking you if it gets cold there.
Yes. Very cold, yes.
And you were there September, October, November, December, January, and February. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. This says the entire amount due was $834.
I applied for low energy assistant. They paid for over 200 and some, so that's deducted.
The bill here is $834. Is that right? You told me $1032.
But then low energy assistant paid for 200 some.
So you didn't pay for it?
Not for the 1,000, but the $834 is still standing.
Why?
Well, the reason I brought this was because, see, I felt he was using my assistance program for his benefit, ma'am.
You don't get credit for that. Why did you tell me it was $1,032?
It was until they stepped in and helped. But I felt he was using my assistance program to his benefit since he used this shop
So what
10
should
to
I do
12
with that?
hours.
Give you the credit for it?
I just don't like users. I felt you should know that I did apply for the energy assistance, and at first it was $1,000. That was hard to apply for. It's demeaning, and I didn't like to do that.
Your Honor.
So your bill was really $100 a month for electricity that includes heat, is that right, in your apartment?
I did have heat in one room, yes.
Whether you had heat in one room or a half room, you had heat in the apartment in Illinois in December.
Your Honor.
What?
The heaters was in the other rooms. They was 220. She had her little
Listen to me. You caused the problem, sir.
Pardon?
You caused the problem. The problem is if you rent an apartment, you should have separate meters for every part of the premises that you're renting. Now, you didn't have a separate meter, so now I'm going to have to make a calculated guess as to what portion of this electric bill I'm attributing to you. Because it's unjust for her to have to pay for anything in your shop. So her entire bill was $800 for 8 months. I'm attributing $25 a month to you, sir. $75 a month to the plaintiff. Electric heat is very expensive. That includes lights and everything else. $75 a month doesn't seem like an awful lot for electric. Does it seem like a lot for electric with electric heat? Not to me. Once lived in an apartment that had electric heat. I got my first bill, $600. It was a 3-room apartment. Okay, so we are up to $600. $400 for the security deposit and $200 that I'm giving you credit for towards your electric bill. That's his responsibility. Now let's get to the sexual harassment, which is the other part of your claim.
After 2.5 months of living there, he resented the fact that I was going back with an old boyfriend. He got on a revenge trip and he started just barging into my apartment. He walked upstairs into my bathroom one morning and then actually took a step into my bedroom. That's when he went too far. I called Sergeant, and here's a report. She felt like it was so threatening.
Don't tell me what she felt. I'm not interested in hearing what you think she felt.
Okay.
Listen to me. You filed this report December 30th. You stayed on January, February, March with a man that you say is threatening you. He threatened her.
By his presence, by his barging in, yes.
That's not what it says here. It just says, and he has threatened her, is what you told the police.
I felt like if I didn't be overly nice or friendly, I mean, then he would pull tactics as poisoning. That's threatening.
Moo.
I didn't want to go into government housing.
Then you must not have felt that threatened.
Yeah, but I would have had to give my dog up. When you weigh it out, which is better?
Well, if someone is threatening me, trying to poison me, feel as if he is going to stalk you by coming into your home unannounced and do other dastardly deeds to you, I would prefer to live in a cardboard box under a bridge. I'm giving you $600, madam. That is $400 for your security deposit, which you are entitled to. I don't believe that he sexually harassed you in any way.
He offered
I am giving
me $50 for a job.
What?
He offered me $50 for a job.
Did you turn him down?
You betcha.
Good. And $200 for the credit on your electricity. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her own brother was there from California. Said she was mentally ill.
My brother even stepped in and said, leave her alone.
She'll lie all the time. She always did.
He started yelling, get off my property, and I had a lease there. And, you know, I mean, it was just insane.
You know, it's clear that she's obviously had some psychiatric care throughout her life.
I believe firmly, look into the background of a landlord.
This is case number 116 on the calendar in the matter of O'Connor versus Butler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss O'Connor, I've read your complaint very carefully. Last June, you became ill and you were hospitalized. And you developed some severe complications. You have a child, a boy. How old is your boy?
He's 8.5.
When you went into the hospital, you left your son with your father. With whom?
My 2 sons, and there's another older teenager.
They were clearly unable to take care of him because your father, at some point, gave guardianship of your son to your cousins who were the defendants. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that? When did you take physical custody of the boy?
August 19th.
You were released when in August?
The 30th of August.
Then there was some issue as to whether they were going to give you the child back. On what day did you actually turn custody back over to the mother?
November 17th, 2000.
Your claim is as follows, Miss O'Connor. You say that about a year and a half or so ago, you sold your cousins 2 Cocker Spaniels and they've never paid you. The second part of your claim is you say that they didn't return some of your son's clothing when they finally turned custody back over to you. That's your claim. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Let's deal with the dogs first. When did you give the dogs to the butlers?
It was around June, early June.
June of what year?
2000, I believe.
How old were the dogs?
One was 2 and one was 4. It was a mother and daughter.
Why could you no longer care for these 2 dogs?
Her dog, Bucky, was a Cocker Spaniel and it died. So this is the reason why I didn't give it to her. She said she'd pay me back. She would pay me.
I'm asking you a question. You've got 2 dogs, 2 and 4 years old, that are living with you, that I assume you're attached to. Why did you get rid of the dogs?
She told me she'd have a better home for them and that she could groom them herself. It was very expensive to groom them for me because I had it done.
So that's why you weren't able to take care of the dogs. You didn't want to do the grooming anymore.
Right.
Right. Now, what makes you think, first of all, these dogs are worth $200 a piece, which is what you...
$375 for the mother.
Yes.
And sold her puppies for $250.
So?
That's what I bought the dog for.
Okay. I'll hear you. Go ahead. Let's hear about the dogs first.
As far as the dogs, we were there on a Sunday. She was about ready to put the dogs in the paper. And I told her I would take them. Yes, Bucky did pass away. But that's not why I wanted them. It's because they needed a home.
Well, what was she going to put them in the paper for?
To sell them for money. My husband was there and my daughter was there as witnesses. She says, go ahead and take the dogs. They're very neglected. She couldn't take care of them anymore.
Nobody buys a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old dog, madam, for $200 apiece. That's where you read for adoption. Can't take care of them anymore. These are adult dogs. Let's leave the dogs for a second. You went into the hospital. You've got 2 sons. You've got somebody else. How come your child ended up with your cousins?
My father took it upon himself. He didn't say, can I have them or anything. He took them out of the home. He dumped out 7 full-size drawers of Gabriel's clothes.
There must have been a reason for that, Miss O'Connor. How old are your sons?
20, 18, and 8.5.
20 and 18?
Yes.
So your father probably was using his brain and figured out that your 8-year-old wasn't being properly taken care of by your 20-year-old son and your 18-year-old son. Don't you think that's possible?
He was going to school every day.
Miss O'Connor, what do you possibly think motivated your father to come and take him out of the house when the mother isn't there and you got 2 teenage boys in the house in charge of an 8-year-old? What do you think your father was thinking? He wanted to do something to spite you?
Yes.
Yes? You the 2 sons?
I'm one of them.
Which one, 18 or 20?
18.
Step up. Were you there when your grandfather came and took your little brother?
Yes, I was.
Tell me about that. Did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, he said we wouldn't be able to afford food for him, so he would come and take him and bring him into a better home where they could take care of him a little bit better.
And what did you say?
I said, okay.
Good. Sit down. By the way, were you working?
No,
What about your 20-year-old brother? Was he working?
not at the time.
So how were you living?
On what was in the kitchen.
That's why your father took your son, turned him over to cousins who took care of him.
But wouldn't give him back.
Well, evidently they felt as if he had been a little neglected, madam.
Yes, ma'am. They wouldn't give him back.
Ultimately, a court gave him back to you. Is that right?
Yes.
But not right away.
I had to go through 3 courts.
But not right away. Right. While you were in the hospital, you say that they took care of him for 3 weeks. Did you thank them?
Yes.
When did you thank them?
Over the phone.
Did you say, do I owe you any money?
She got his checks.
What checks?
His Social Security. His father had died.
Yes.
My husband died. So he got the Social Security.
Right.
Money. That's what she was getting.
How many Social Security checks did you get? Yes.
Ma'am, I've had him since August 19th. I didn't get paid until October, November. All of August and September, I did it from my heart.
How did you manage to get a check for October?
I went to Rancho Cucamonga Police Department and went to court. They gave me temporary custody. That's what opened the doors for that boy.
Month of August, month of September, she got no money. Where were his checks going in August and September?
August, I'm in the hospital. I got it in August. I got one September.
Where did the money go?
In my bank account.
Well, why didn't you send them the money?
I wasn't talking to her by then. She couldn't talk to me. Okay. She got too hostile.
All right. A, let's forget about the dogs. You gave the dogs away because you couldn't take care of them. Ages 2 and 4 years old. Not worth $400 or $500. Absolutely not. And not only that, but you didn't even ask for them back.
Yes, I did.
When? When?
When she started talking to me when I had child visitations with my son Gabriel.
When you were angry with her?
I wasn't angry. She was angry.
When you were angry with her because she wouldn't give your son back?
She was angry that I got visitations to my son to take him every Saturday. And that's a 2.5-hour drive.
So that's when you asked for your dogs back?
Yeah, she only had one. The other one she sold.
Did you sell?
I gave her away because she had a howling problem.
Who did you give the dog to?
It was a lady in the newspaper.
I would like the dogs back.
Well, you can't have them back. Gave them away. All right, let's talk about clothes. What clothes do you say they have?
My dad emptied out in trash bags 7 full-size drawers, socks, underwear, everything was taken.
Right.
And when I finally won the last battle, November 17th, I got 2 trash bags, 2 little trash bags of clothes. Plus, it was his birthday. I bought him all kinds of stuffed toys and everything, and I didn't see any of that come back.
How much does Gabriel get from Social Security?
$557
a month.
Yes.
Okay. That's about $1,100 for the 2 months that your son was with them that you put in your bank, right? You put that money in your bank, right? Money that was supposed to go for the support. I'm speaking. Money that was supposed to go for the support of the child, you put in your checking account.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy O'Connor is suing her cousins, Linda and Lonnie Butler, for the cost of 2 Cocker Spaniels and the return of property.
You took your son's money and you put it in your bank account. So if you have to buy more clothes for him, go buy more clothes for him. Do you think I'm going to get involved in underwear, 6 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of shoes, a pair of sneakers? I have no intention of doing that. As far as I'm concerned, when somebody takes charge of your child because you're incapable of doing it, what do you want?
The thing is, when my grandpa came over, he said he was going to take care of him.
What difference does it make? You're 18. If you were grown up and mature and responsible, and it's the summertime, one of you goes out, gets a job, act responsibly so that your grandfather wouldn't have had to worry about your 8-year-old brother. You weren't going to do it, and she's in the hospital.
He was fine.
Oh, yeah, he was fine. I don't believe that a grandfather comes over and takes it upon himself to remove a baby, little boy, 8 years old, from a house where he thinks the child is thriving.
He was getting fed.
What do you want? Who are you?
Why isn't he? I'm Linda's son. Why isn't he here to testify about this?
I have no idea why he's not here. Maybe nobody brought him here. All I'm telling you is,
maybe he doesn't want
she
to
didn't take... You're whose son?
Linda's son.
Her son.
Her son?
Yes.
Were you available to take care of the 8-year-old?
At the time, I didn't know about it. I was overseas.
So what do you know now?
What I know now?
What do you know now?
About the situation going on where she had kidnapped a child.
Sit down. There was a court order, sir, when the court had at least some facts before it.
Some manipulation.
I'm speaking, which gave them temporary custody. Now, in order to establish that you're going to give a child to biological strangers, at least not a mother and father, or father, there has to be some overriding neglect or abuse or abandonment. And unless you can prove any of those 3 things, long-term neglect, abuse, or abandonment, the child has to go back to the biological parent, even if the biological parent is not so terrific. Clearly, a court in October, when faced with certain facts, said, we want to take a more careful look at this situation before we return this child, so they gave them temporary custody. As far as I'm concerned, there should be a thank you here instead of a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. To me, the evil snake needs to go on with her life.
He's not the same kid anymore.
He's a very neglected child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Keck versus Solil, step forward, please.
Bookkeeper Barbara Keck is suing her daughter's friend, 19-year-old receptionist Amanda Soleil, for causing her car to be towed and impounded.
Miss Keck, the defendant was living with your family.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
I assume she was a friend of your daughter's?
Yes.
You allowed her to use one of your cars. It was an older car. She had run into some transportation problems. She relied on her boyfriend, according to your complaint, for transportation. I assume this is boyfriend Jeff.
Yes.
Hi.
Right? And at some point, after a period of time, the car broke down.
Yes.
The car broke down at Jeff's place of employment.
Right.
The car was subsequently towed and impounded. You had considerable fees to get the car out of tow, and you believe that the defendant should be responsible for paying those fees.
Yes, I did.
She says the car was a piece of junk, basically.
I don't have a problem with that.
When did she come to live with your family?
I think it was in May, either early or latter part.
Why?
I understand that she and her mother weren't getting along, and her mother had asked her, you know, just go on and live somewhere else.
What would make you take her into your house?
She's my daughter's friend and had been since senior in high school. They're both in college now. And she'd been over to the house and dinners and, you know, proms and all that. So we were all good friends.
Did you charge her any rent?
No.
When did you give her the car to use?
Maybe early August.
Tell me about that.
She and Jeff were in a traffic accident which totaled his truck. So, you know, after they came over and they were at dinner at our house, I think, and talking about things, and I said, well, how are you going to get around? And so we just decided, well, shoot, we've got this Mazda, we'll let her use it.
Now, you tell me what happened with the car and when.
After she gave it to use it, it was September 6th, and I was dropping Jeff off at work.
So we'd used it for a while? You used it for about a month?
For about a month, yes. And I dropped him off at work that morning, and as I was saying goodbye, it just died, and which is normal because the whole time I used it, it would stop at stoplights, just like she said, and this time it just died. I couldn't get it to click over or anything, so we pushed it back into a parking spot, and I said to him, well, I'm going to have a car anyway, so we might as well go buy a car now. So he used a company truck, took me home, I called in sick to work, and then I went to buy a car. And after I bought the car, I came home that day. It was about 4 o'clock, and I told Barbara, I said, Barbara, come look at what I bought. So I came out to the driveway, and I said, I bought a car, and she goes, well, what prompted you to do this? And I said, well, your car broke down today on the way taking Jeff to work. And she said, oh, I said, well, I left it at Jeff's work. And then she said that she would talk to her husband, Bernard, about it, and they would discuss what we would do about it when he comes home the next day.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Oh, okay.
And did you have another discussion with Barbara?
During the period of the next week, it just kind of came up off and on. Nobody really said anything. I worked full-time, and we never sat down and totally discussed it.
Well, instead of going and buying a new truck that day, why didn't you call a tow truck and have the car towed back home?
Like, I've never had a car towed on me before, and I really didn't know what to do.
Well, you knew enough to go and buy a car. You have to fill out forms, you have to take it to be registered, you have to go to motor vehicles, you have to get insurance, right? And to get a car towed, you have to pick up the phone and look in the yellow pages and find towing and call and say, come pick up the car, and would you please bring it back to my residence? Now, which one seems harder to you?
Probably buying the car.
Right. And the towing fees were $455.
Right. Well,
you explained to me, young lady, why you don't think you are responsible for that.
Well, I feel that because I feel because the car was in her name, and the day that it broke down, I did come home and I did let her know.
After you bought a new car?
Yeah. Well, at the time, that seemed like the right thing to do to me.
No, it seemed like the selfish thing to do.
Buying the car was my idea.
Excuse me?
Buying the car was my idea. I had the money saved up, and I just said, you know.
Is anybody talking to him? Are you still living at her house?
No.
You lived there for how long?
From June until early September.
3 months she didn't charge you any rent.
Right.
Not $50 a month, not $100 a month. I assume you ate breakfast there. You said you had some dinners there. Jeff came over and ate there. Did she charge you when Jeff came over and ate dinner?
No, she didn't.
Nice lady. And let you have a car. There's no issue. Where's the issue? Why are we here? It was your responsibility to bring the car home and say, now I've fulfilled my responsibility. It was given to me in the driveway. I've returned it to the driveway. You got it? And if he thinks that that's wrong, oh, I'm dying to hear from him.
You're dying. Okay.
Stand up!
She said, okay, when she gave us that car, it breaks down at stoplights. If you crash it, I don't care. Just don't get it stolen. The insurance doesn't cover that. If it breaks down, leave it. If it does this, does that, leave it. I don't care. The car's garbage. It's an 83 or 86, doesn't matter. It's got over 200,000
Sit down. This lady was very nice to you. Mr. Responsibility over here doesn't get it together as much as he should. You know, he doesn't understand that as an adult you have certain responsibilities. You should understand that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $485. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. United States, seat, please.
Ms. Ross, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were engaged to be married.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you live together?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
I believe it was June of '99.
And when did you separate?
January of 2000.
January of 2000 or 2001?
2001.
Your Honor, we started dating at that time. We weren't actually living together in June of '99.
Well, when did you start to live together is what I want to know.
He moved into my place in Roseville originally in 1999.
What month?
It was in October.
October of '99, not June. Okay. Now, at that time, you claimed that he suggested to you that you get rid of your furniture because his grandmother was going to buy some new furniture.
Yes.
And you did that. Grandmother purchased new furniture, but there was an agreement that you would pay the credit card bill on the furniture. It is your claim that after you separated, he came and took all the furniture out of storage and that you had, in fact, paid for half of that furniture during the time that you were living together, so you want the value of half the furniture. The defendant says that he paid for the furniture, he's still paying for the furniture. When was the furniture purchased?
So on the March 15th, 2000.
And what furniture was purchased in March of 2000?
It was pretty much a whole recline, a living room set.
Living room set, so far, is that right?
Yes.
A bedroom set, plus a dining room table.
Table?
But that was not on the credit card. That was paid in cash to his mother.
Is that right?
That was given to me from my mother. It was our dining room table from her previously
So that was a gift, so let's forget the table.
Yes.
And that was all purchased in March of 2000 on a credit card. Grandma's credit card.
Yes.
How much do you say you put towards this furniture?
$1,000 about.
$1,000 about?
Within the year that we got the furniture, each month that we paid a month.
Were you sharing the expenses of living together?
Pretty much.
Not pretty much?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes.
And how were you sharing them? What were you doing at that time? Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
At the time I was dancing.
Dancing?
Yes, at that time.
And how much money were you earning dancing?
$1,000 a week usually.
So you put money into a joint checking account?
No, we had our own separate accounts. But I would give him cash to pay for bills, and he would write it out as the man of the house.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me how it worked.
Basically, she kept her money, I kept my money, we split the bills, and we came together to purchase things together, and the things that were purchased together, she was allowed to take with her when she left. But we had separate checking accounts, and she never came home and gave me, you know, large amounts of money.
I didn't say large amounts of money.
Well, she said that
what you're saying to me is that she's correct that you did, in fact, share joint bills and purchase things together.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you decided to purchase together was this living room set and the bedroom set.
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me why not.
Because when we agreed to move in with each other, she put her furniture in the stores because I said that my mom was going to buy me furniture and that we could use my furniture.
You said my furniture?
Yes, my furniture.
Mr. Miller, were you engaged at that time?
No, we were not.
When did you become engaged?
Only about 3 months after we moved in together.
You moved in together in October of '99.
The whole timing thing is a little confusing to me because...
Well, but try not to make it confusing to me, Mr. Miller, because I'm supposed to be able to resolve this case.
Sure.
The furniture was purchased in March of 2000. So my question is, were you engaged at the time that the furniture was purchased?
No.
Were you engaged at the time the furniture was purchased?
He proposed to me Father's Day, which was May.
Father's Day is in June of what year?
Of year 2001.
June 2001 is when he proposed to you. So he proposed to you
I'm sorry,
5 months after he left you.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say, I apologize. I meant to say that I recollect that he proposed to me. It was right around, I'm trying to remember because it was a big, it was
All right, now
May.
listen to me.
This
This is what I want you to do. I'm going to sit here very quietly for a moment. I want the two of you to recognize that you're involved in a trial. At a trial, I'm asking you rather simplistic questions. I'm asking you to tell me certain dates so that I can make a determination as to whether this furniture was purchased for you as a couple, was purchased as an individual by a parent. What were the ramifications of the engagement? So I want you to take a deep breath and think. When did you meet? When did you move in together? When did he propose? When was the furniture purchased? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now just be calm. Think. You don't look like you're thinking.
Are you ready for an answer?
Are you ready to give me an answer?
I'm ready to give you an answer.
Okay. When did you move in?
In October.
October of what year?
October of 2001.
And when did you propose?
About 4 months after that.
February of 2001. When did you purchase the furniture?
June 3rd.
June of?
2001.
2001. So you purchased the furniture, Mr. Miller, after you became engaged.
No, that's not what happened.
No, there's just a second. This is what you just told me. Let me go back, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
You told me that you moved in October of 2000.
Okay.
You told me 4 months after you moved in, you became engaged. That would be February of 2001. Then you told me you bought the furniture in what month and year?
I'm looking at the first payment. It says June 3rd, 01, so...
So you bought the furniture after you became engaged?
No, I gave you the wrong answer on the date, but I didn't... The furniture was purchased after, or before we were engaged, 3 or 4 months before. And I might not
according
have...
to the scenario you just gave me, Mr. Miller, after you thought very carefully.
Well, I'm not...
Go ahead. Now, be quiet. You got it. You had a turn. You had your turn. You took your best shot. All right, Miss Ross, was the furniture purchased before or after you became engaged?
After.
Oh, okay.
I mean, before. I meant to say before, I'm sorry. Because I remember sitting down on the dining room set when he bent down and proposed to me, and we had our furniture purchased. It was there at the house.
I love this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Maria Ross says after a physical fight with fiancé Steve Miller, she broke off the engagement. She is suing for half the cost of their furniture.
I want to see what's the balance remaining on the credit card for the furniture. Don't give me a whole bunch of papers, just show me the balance. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. This case is becoming all too painful for me. Could you read this?
You have on your reading glasses.
I know, but look at this here.
I know.
Look at that thing. Can you see that?
Whoa. I see the new balance here, Judge. It says $2,478.68.
Is that the new balance, sir? Is that what's left on the
Yes.
And what was the original purchase price of the furniture, Miss Ross?
About $3,000, almost.
We're in a court.
Excuse
I
me,
want to know
I'm-
the exact amount.
Because there were separate payments, I can't find the total amount of the entire furniture. Ma'am.
Let me take a look.
Because there were different...
Trying to think of how many years my father
This is
paid
a-
to educate me for this. Did you folks ever learn about being prepared? You know, you come to court, you're prepared, you have all your information, you have numbers, it's all down there, it's in I mean, I'm not asking you anything that goes outside of the lawsuit that you brought. I'm not asking you about what caused the breakup or, you know, whether you liked each other towards the end. I'm not asking you any of those soft questions. I'm saying, when did you buy the furniture? How much did it cost? How much is left on the furniture?
Your Honor, may I speak?
No, just give me a number. When you buy furniture, you have a bill. The bill says one chair, $200, one table, $300, one bedroom set, $900.
Brown ones are like the copies.
Your Honor, if she would have purchased the furniture, she would probably have that information.
Good, so you
I have
purchased
the
it. You
original.
so you purchased it. Give it to me.
I don't.
You're not. So you purchased it. Give it to me.
I don't. I did not purchase it. My grandma purchased
Must be
it.
duplicates, yeah, like
Well, then maybe we ought to dismiss this case and let your grandmother stand in your place. Well. Thanks, Bertha.
Your Honor, may I state that in the beginning of the relationship, I had my own set of furniture that I purchased on my own. He sold it to his friends, and then we got the new stuff, and he lived in we've lived in 3 separate places since we've been together. This last prior place was with this furniture.
Listen to me very carefully. The furniture was purchased for about $3,000. There is almost $2,500 left on the bill. If you are not paying that bill, then you are not entitled to any furniture. Do you understand? You don't want to take out a loan, do you, and pay off this furniture?
No,
Of course not. And since you don't want to take out a loan, pay off his grandmother's credit card, or put that amount on a new credit card of yours so that she is no longer responsible, right? You can't have the furniture. Period. Goodbye. Thank you very much. This case was very painful.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, I'm happy with the outcome. You know, I don't feel that she deserved the furniture.
He ripped me off.
When 2 people come in a relationship with their own property, I think they should leave with their own property.
Never mess with the loser ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Allen versus Phoenix. Step forward, please.
35-year-old caterer Dan Allen is suing 25-year-old office manager Destiny Phoenix for slander. Dan claims statements made by Destiny caused him to lose business.
All right, this case is really in 2 parts, so let me try to explain it as I understand it and tell you why it's in 2 parts. Mr. Allen, you have a small catering business. You make burritos, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had the defendant as a client, which means that you would come up in your truck every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Where you made your burritos, and you would get orders from the personnel that worked in her office.
Right.
You would make the burritos. And you would do this not only for her company, but for others.
Correct.
It is your claim that because of things that she said about your business, which were untrue, you lost her business. And in addition, the second part of your claim is that she made defamatory remarks about your business to other businesses who used your service, and they also canceled your service. Now, did you have a contract with the defendant?
A written contract? We had a verbal contract.
And what was the verbal contract, sir?
That would be okay for me to come by every day at a certain time to sell my food.
So that is a day-to-day operation. You didn't have a year's contract with her, a 6-month contract with her, so she could say to you, I don't want you to come into the place anymore to sell burritos, or I'm not going to use your service because, I don't know, because we don't like burritos anymore. So she doesn't have to give you any reason whatsoever.
That's correct.
So the first part of your lawsuit is dismissed. And the second part of your lawsuit is that she made untruthful statements about your little business to other people, therefore causing you to lose business. So you have to establish to my satisfaction, first, that she made the statements to other businesses, and second, that the statements she made were untrue. Do you understand what your legal burden is?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me first, what statements can you establish that she made to other businesses that used your service?
Sure. I have a witness, Chris Laro, who I've been servicing food to for the past year and a half approximately, and I'm there every day. And I was there about 15 minutes after I was at Destiny Phoenix's business. So he saw me that same day. This is regarding the fact that she said I reeked of beer. He would definitely have noticed that.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Step up, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Chris Laro.
Mr. Laro.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
kind of business do you have, sir?
I am actually a law clerk at a law firm that Mr. Allen services.
I am not the witness. I don't believe that he would like to call to prove the defamation. I'm here as a character witness only to prove that I have not seen him ever smelling of alcohol, that he's maintained a professional
So is
business.
what you're telling me that Miss Phoenix never made any statements to you?
That's correct, ma'am.
With regard to Mr. Allen's job?
That's correct. Mr. Allen has a written statement from
I don't take written statements.
Okay.
You understand that. You're a law clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to law school now?
Yes, I am.
What year are you in, sir?
I'm in my 3rd year.
So you know a little bit about hearsay.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And what are written statements?
They are out-of-court statements offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Correct. And according to the rules of evidence, sir, that would be inadmissible. Is that right?
Yes, it would.
Thank you. So far, you're halfway to passing the bar. Mr. Allen, do you have any other proof, sir, that the defendant made statements to any other business which were untrue, which caused you to lose business?
I believe she referred to the fact that I did not have a food license in this recording that I have of her that she left on my phone.
I'm not talking about your phone, sir. I'm talking about other people who your business serviced.
I just have a written statement, and I just have my food license here to prove that I have a food license.
You have to be able to establish to me, sir, that the defendant said to a third party something about you that wasn't true, which caused you to lose business. There are certain rules which your witness knows about, which courts will accept an out-of-court sworn statement. What is the reason that that person cannot be here today?
He did not want to take off work.
That's not a reason, sir.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Laro, anything else you want to say? I would love to do this legal exercise with you, sir. It's been a slow day so far. Go ahead.
I fear of taking a beating on national TV, but nevertheless, I think that in the interest of allowing this court to look at the totality of the circumstances here, possibly the court could let him admit this hearsay statement, the facts that we are here in small claims court, and the federal or state rules of evidence are a little bit lax for small claims court. I think that you would be able to see that it was relevant and authentic, Your Honor.
One of the reasons that we do not allow out-of-court statements, sir, only under very, very strong criteria, is because it does not allow the defendant to cross-examine the maker of that statement. That means that if I were to look at that statement, I would have to, in my own head, say, everything in that statement is true, because it does not give Ms. Phoenix an opportunity to ask any questions, or for me, on her behalf, like I'm asking Mr. Allen questions, to ask that person questions. That's the reason why we do not permit hearsay statements, because it's inherently unfair to the other side. And the fact that this is a court program that happens to be televised does not obfuscate the need to have reliable evidence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? Reliable evidence. Hearsay evidence is inherently unreliable. So that your case is dismissed, Mr. Allen. But you were very good, sir.
Thank
You may obfuscate the courtroom.
Judge Judy.
This is case number 477 on the calendar in the matter of Hubbard versus Hubbard. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
You're Michael.
Yes.
Michael, the defendant is your father, and according to your complaint, when you were 16 or 17, you had a job.
Yes.
Or 2 jobs.
2, yes.
And you and your dad opened a bank account and deposited your money in the account. The money was all your money. You needed his signature on the account because you were a minor.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a dispute involving your father and your mother, and they're divorced?
Separated.
And your father withdrew all the money from your account.
All of it but $2.51.
And how much money did you have in the account?
Before he withdrew it, I had $1,527.51.
Why did you withdraw your son's money?
$775 I drew out for room and board when he stayed with me for 2 months.
All right, so let's start with the $775 that you withdrew for room and board.
Yes.
When did he live with you?
From June 20th until August 20th.
And how old was your son in June of 2001?
17.
When did he turn 18?
December 11th.
You can't charge him for room and board. You're his father. You're responsible for him.
Ma'am, he was living with his mother at the time, and he came to, with her agreement, came to live with me so he could work.
Mm-hmm.
Before June, I was paying child support.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came to live with me, I just figured that I was entitled to the child support back.
You figured wrong. You may be entitled to child support back, but not from him.
When this all started out, I acknowledged to him that I was going to do this, and he had
I don't care what you acknowledge to him. And even if he agreed that he'd pay you room and board, even if he agreed, which he didn't, you can't hold a minor to a contract. I mean, I never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. Your son worked, he put money in the bank, he was saving for, I don't know, college, future, whatever. You decided later to withdraw money because you figured he owed you for room and board. Outrageous! What's next? What's next? $775.
Yes.
Room and board. What else did you take out?
Me and his mother had a dispute on child support that I owed. We went to court about that. And, you know, in order to get a lawyer, I told him I was going to take some money out to pay for the lawyer. That was because of another situation that was going on.
What?
His grades in school, that I was trying to get custody back for him.
Yes.
To make him do better in school.
So?
And I had to get a lawyer in order to do that.
So? You wanted him to pay for the lawyer so that you could get custody of him?
No, I did not want him to pay for the lawyer.
Well, but he did. That's what you just told me. You took money out of his account so that you could pay for a lawyer to get custody of him. Isn't that what you just told me?
Yes, I did.
Well, am I correct? I mean, when you cut through all the baloney, that's what it was.
But I told him I was going to do this in order to file for custody for him.
Well,
and when I told him that, he had no problem with it.
What do you mean he had no problem with it?
He didn't disagree or agree.
Mr. Hubbard, what do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician, ma'am.
Well, let me give you the facts of life, Mr. Hubbard. The facts of life are parents support their children and provide for necessaries for their children until their children reach the age of majority. Then, if they're really lucky, the children will take care of themselves. Only if they're really lucky. Most parents take care of their children even after they've reached their majority. They pay for college, they pay for books, they pay for clothes, they pay for trips, they pay for medical, they pay for dental, they pay for orthodontia, they pay for cars, they pay for gas, they pay for dating. When they're 19 and 20 and 21 and 22, and sometimes even until they're 30. You, on the other hand, want your child to pay for himself, for his room and board, as well as for a lawyer for you. Hello? Michael, your father is misguided. You're entitled to your money back, Michael. Now, I assume at this point you and your father aren't getting along too well.
No.
And I assume that it will take some time for that to work itself out, if it ever does. Maybe he understands that he did the wrong thing. Maybe.
May I say something else, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
I got custody of him on December 14th, 99. His grades were falling bad. When I finally got custody of him, I made him do his homework, and his grades came up. And then his mother 9 months later, filed for custody back of him because I was being too hard on him. I was making him do his homework. I was making him tell me where he was all this time, anytime he was out. Well, that's too hard on him as far as she's concerned. So she got custody back of him, and I have his report cards here showing that when he was with me, he was doing better, and now that he's with her, he's completely failing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Michael Hubbard says his father, Ray Hubbard, stole money from his bank account. Ray says he needed the money.
Your job as a parent is to do what is best for your child, to look into...
That's what I was trying to do. I had his interest in heart all the time.
Fine. Let us say I absolutely agree that you felt as if he needed a stronger hand in order to do his work so that he could do well in school, so that he could move on. You felt as if you had to, as a parent, fight for custody so that he would do better. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement, sir?
No, sir. No, ma'am, that's not what I was doing.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, I am, but as far as his mother is concerned, she won't let him grow up.
It
And
doesn't make any difference.
but it
Well, you're
don't
not listening to me, sir. I said you felt as if you had to do what you did in pursuing custody of him because you felt as if it was in his best interest.
Yes, I still do.
And you still do.
Yes.
Good. He doesn't pay for that. You pay for that. That's a necessary, not for him. That's a legal necessary for you. You as a parent are supposed to do the right thing. You felt in your heart the right thing was that he lived with you. You would be a better parent for him at this stage in his life. Good for you. You pay for it.
I understand that.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,527.51. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
A parent should be more responsible.
It was in the best interest of the child.
A minor shouldn't have to pay for room and board.
I'm going to keep fighting it.
Yeah, this is case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Locke versus Bondrak. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
What is your first name, Mr. Vlock?
Ryan,
Ryan? How old are you?
20.
And you? What's your first name?
Jason,
How old are you, Jason?
21.
Oh, okay. Mr. Vlock, according to your complaint, the defendant assaulted you outside of a bar after you had been drinking together and doing some sort of a beer game inside the bar. Is that right?
It was a duplex, a house.
It's a house.
Yes, duplex.
Duplex.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that you claim he assaulted you and you were severely injured. Is that right?
Yes.
So you must have been in a lot of pain.
Yes, Your Honor.
Must have had a lot of suffering.
Yes.
So one would think that you think that your pain and suffering is worth something.
Yes.
Could you tell me why you're only suing him for $500?
I didn't really understand the amounts you can get, and I didn't want to.
Well, you know the difference between $500 and $5,000, don't you?
Yes.
Well, were you in pain $500 worth or $5,000 worth?
I'd say it's
Maybe
close to-
$2,500?
I'd say 2,500. It would be up. 'Cause
But it wouldn't be $5,000.
No.
Maybe it could be $2,300? Could it be $2,300?
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yes.
maybe $2,300.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now tell me when this drinking party happened in the duplex.
I believe it was in October 28th.
You believe it was October 28th?
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that you have that would make you sure it was October 28th?
I had the case report and the ticket right here. It's, yeah, October 28th.
A ticket report?
Yeah, I have.
What kind of ticket, sir?
The ticket that the police officers issued the defendant.
Did you get one too?
Yes.
You got one too? What
Yes,
was
but
your
it was-
ticket for?
It was disturbing the peace, but it was dropped.
Okay. So tell me all about the party.
Well, we were playing a drinking game called Beer Die.
Called what?
Beer Die, like the dice.
Beer die. Now, I would probably understand what that was, but I know that Bird wouldn't understand that. So I want you to explain to Bird exactly how that game is played.
You give a partner, and 4 people play it, and it's like a rectangular table, and you sit on each end with cups, for each person having a cup that goes in the corner, and you try and take a die and sink it into the other team's cup, or get it so it hits the table and they don't catch it to get a point.
And then what do you do with the beer?
Drink it. If you sink it, you got to chug it, and if it hits the cup, you got 5 drinks to a cup. And you just got to drink each time it hits the cup and refill.
And how many people were playing this moronic game?
It was just us 4. It's only 4 at a time. There were people in the garage watching.
So there were 4 of you, and in your group 4
Yeah.
that was playing this game. He was one of the 4?
Yeah, but not. His other partner's not here.
But he was in
Yes,
the 4?
yes, he was.
That's just like he was in the 4. And how long had you been playing this game?
We played 3 games. It maybe lasted an hour to an hour and a half.
And during that time, everybody was dying and chug-a-lugging.
No, it wasn't much drinking going on. We were gambling for money, so it was more intense going.
Were you working at the time, Ryan?
No, I'm a full-time student.
Student. Did they teach you this in a course?
No.
Course curriculum?
No, ma'am.
No, it is not. What school did you go to at that time, Ryan?
The UNL, University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
And what about Jason over here? Was he a student too?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
And whose duplex were you in?
A mutual friend of ours.
Who won the game?
They won the first 2, and they wanted to leave, but I talked them into staying for another one, go double or nothing, and we won that one, so it broke even.
Go Nebraska. So then the game is over.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves?
No, when we won right away, the defendant got up. He was kind of upset, and he was kind of talking how he liked to fight and how he kind of wanted to fight. And I was kind of in the heat of the moment, and I got up and I had words with him in the garage. We step outside, and he takes his shirt off right away. He was in front of me. And then I get out there, and we had some words. And then the owner of the house comes out and separates it and sends us on our way, or at least me and my friend on the way. So we continue to walk away from the fight, and we get to the sidewalk right before the street starts, and his partner that he was playing with, I don't know if he jogged down or he got up in front of us and stopped us, and he was trying to instigate a fight between me and the defendant, calling me and trying to get me to go back and just trying to instigate it so I go back. I didn't want anything to do with that. I was already told to leave, so I just, after asking him twice to get out of the way, I just gently pushed him. It wasn't... Gently pushed him. Just to move out of the way, and we continued walking.
Gently.
It was just...
Okay,
it wasn't...
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I made it right to the curb when I heard footsteps coming, and I managed to turn, and right when I turned, I was just blindsided and taken out. And I ended up, I guess...
You were what out?
I was, like, knocked out, basically, for a while. I was...
Well, taken out and knocked out are two different things.
Yeah.
Taken out, they don't say in Nebraska.
Oh, I don't... well, yeah, well, I guess it was a tackle from what I hear, but...
Spend more time in your English class, Ryan.
I'm an engineer major, I don't...
You still have to know how to speak English.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, like I said, he tackled me, and I guess when he was going to tackle me, I turned right into his fist, which produced 9 stitches.
So you weren't blindsided. He was going to tackle you.
I just turned and I just got clocked, so I didn't...
So you don't know what happened?
I guess he kind of saw it a little bit, but I just turned, I heard footsteps coming, I just turned and just was, I thought it was a punch from what I hear, but I was told later that he was going to tackle me, and I turned into it. So I don't know how he was tackling me, but it was the fist right to my eye, though.
And you got 9 stitches, and you were really injured, and your clothes got ripped, and all that other kind of nasty. All right, Jason, let me hear your version of this.
Okay, we were playing the beer dye game, right? We won the first 2 games. He was kind of upset about it, talking trash, calling us names, We're just like, whatever. We were there to have a good time, And we were going to leave, take off, and he's kind of...
Listen to me. I'm really sensitive about this. I want you to continue your testimony, and I want you to leave out the words you know.
All right,
now,
I'll do my best.
No. Do your best isn't good enough. You do it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
At least one other guy kicked me in the head, knocked me out unconscious. I have a picture of my face.
Don't care about it.
Okay. Then, from there...
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't care.
And later today...
He was yelling. We woke my effing neighbors up, and one of his friends had apologized to me. Mr. Booth yelled, "Sorry, hell, I fell."
We were pretty intoxicated.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ryan Vlock says college schoolmate Jason Vondrick assaulted him during a beer drinking game. Jason says Ryan hit him first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I lost my story. Okay. We were,
He was trashing you.
Yeah, we were going to take off, and he was kind of upset that he... Okay, we were upset. He was upset that he lost the game, and we were going to take off, and he talked us into staying. He was kind of upset, so, we kind of felt bad for him. And we stayed for another game. They won. He was still calling us names after the game, and it got taken outside, and the party was kind of in the garage and outside. There were people in the garage, and there were people outside, like, on the cement. And I look over, and he pushed my friend, like he said. He pushed my friend. It wasn't a gentle shove. It was a push.
Of course it was a push.
Yeah, so I went in to get in between it, and I backed up my friend, and next thing I know, I get hit in the head. And I turned around and clocked him, and I took him to the ground, put him in a headlock.
Now you got hit in the head by whom?
By
you
him.
don't know.
By him from behind.
Well, how do you know that it was him if it was from behind?
Well, because he was right here, my friend was right here, and I was backing him up, and he was the only guy that was behind me. So
you
it was
assumed
him.
it was him?
No, I didn't assume it was him, just because he was the only one that it could have been, because he was the only one that was behind me. But anyways, after we got to the ground, and...
You got to the ground?
We both went to the ground. Just me and him were on the...
After he tackled me.
Me and him were on the ground. We were wrestling around on the ground, right? And then his witness over there, and at least one other guy jumped in and kicked me in the head, knocked me out unconscious. I have a picture of my face from when I was unconscious.
Don't care about it.
Okay. And then from there...
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't care.
Right. Right. And from there, I was knocked out, and Lena saw it. She was trying to hold him back because my friend said that even after I was knocked out on the ground unconscious, he was still going after me and 2 of his friends, and 2 or 3 guys were kicking me on the ground, kicking me in the head, and It's a pretty graphic picture that shows you. It'll show my face, but you don't care. But that's pretty much the deal, and she knows the rest. After I was knocked out, the ambulance came and took me to the hospital.
What
and
about the plaintiff? Was he taken to the hospital too?
Yeah, my friend took me to the emergency room.
And that's where you got your stitches.
Yes. Can I go over some? We were never wrestling on the ground, and I never punched him. He didn't even get in between me and his friend. All it was his friend got in our way. I pushed him out of the way, and we kept walking. He never entered that scene at all until we got to the end of the street and ran up on me.
Ryan, you had been drinking for at least 2 hours.
The police showed up, and they let us drive.
The police let you drive?
Yeah, we weren't. That's why I mean we didn't drink too much, and the police let us. He drove me right to the emergency room, right from the scene.
Was he playing too?
Yeah.
Maybe they have a higher threshold in Nebraska. You don't let a 20-year-old college student who's been drinking for 2 hours, who's just been in a brawl, get into your car and drive anywhere. That would seem to be foolish, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Now, Ryan, would this whole incident have happened with Jason and ambulance and stitches if you hadn't been playing this stupid beer game?
It would never happen.
What does that tell you, Ryan?
Shouldn't play it.
And what does it tell you about wasting my time and the time of courts with your stupidity? I don't care if his face looked like it was used as a football in a pro game. The two of you deserved what you got. You were behaving like idiots. You're supposed to be intelligent college students. You're wasting your time with a stupid game. Both of you said things that you shouldn't have. Both of you were ready to fight with each other before this started. You both had attitude, and it got out of hand. What do you want from courts that have important things to deal with?
Well, I understand if it was a mutual conflict or if we were at it, but we were walking away, we were going towards the car, and we were leaving. We were done with the situation, and like I said, he ran up from behind after his friend tried to get...
No, listen to me, Ryan. According to your testimony, the first person that put their hands on another person was you.
Yes.
Was you. You say, I just tapped him out of the way and told him to move. Now, what if when you put your hands on this other person, because he had had too much to drink, he fell backwards, hit his head against a rock, and died? Would you have been responsible?
Yes.
You would have said to me, I just touched him. He was drinking, and he fell over, right? It would have been an accident, right? Just the whole thing got out of hand, right? So on a scale of $1 to $2,300 for your pain and suffering, what do you think you're entitled to?
$2,300. Like the scratches I had lasted forever. I had a black eye, the 9 stitches, the lacerations from the concrete when we landed on it.
Now, my next question is, this happened some time ago.
Yes.
How many times have you played this beer game since then?
We haven't played it.
Perfect. That's your lesson. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's pretty pathetic.
Basically, I witnessed Ryan attacking my friend Jason.
He totally hit me from behind, a cheap shot.
They got a little psycho from drinking and losing.
He got it worse than I did, so that's all I care about, I guess.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Wagoner versus Rockema, step forward, please.
Truck driver Michael Wagoner and his wife Gabriella are suing their former landlord, foreman Shane Roukema, for destroying their furniture. Shane says the couple's accusations are ridiculous.
You rented a house from the defendant, is that
Yes.
right? He had a piece of property, and there were 2 houses on the property. You rented one house. He lives in the other.
The back house is the garage that he made into a house.
For himself.
Yes,
And what was the rent on the house you were renting?
$550.
That a pretty good rent?
Very cheap.
Why do you think it was so cheap?
Because he was, before I lived there, he had a problem with some other tenants that were there, and they had major drug problem there, and so he offered it to me afterwards. And
Had you known him before?
I've known Shane for about 5 years.
And what you're suing him for is you say that he, while he was under the influence of drugs, tore down the walls in your house and ruined your furniture with dust.
Scratched up my furniture as well.
Tell me about that.
Well, on the 22nd of April, I came home and I saw a big old pile of debris out in my front yard. Kept on walking, and I walked up to the door. I opened up the door.
Of your house?
Yes, and I looked, and all the walls were torn out. Everything. I have pictures here to show that the walls were torn out.
Can I see it, please?
Mm-hmm.
On April 1st, had you paid your rent?
Yes.
Do you have your rent receipts?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please.
I take the utilities out of the rent, and I pay them myself. So I pay $450.
But after this happened, you only paid him $200.
Because he told me, since all the problems that he had caused me, that I only have to pay half of the rent.
And you said what?
No, and I said, okay, that's fair.
Okay, so on May 1st, after this incident happened, you said, okay, that's fair. Here's $200.
Yes, because...
Okay,
Right.
I'm just
Okay.
understanding what happened. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and so when I saw that what he had done, he walked through the back door, and he gave me this strange look, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he told me, basically, he said it had to be done, and I said, "What do you mean it had to be done? You were working on the back, and now all of a sudden you come in my house without permission, without advance warning, and just start doing this with all my furniture here?" And he said it was the spur of the moment, his exact words. Because I asked him, why didn't you cover any of my furniture or anything? And I have my furniture, all of it showing that it's damaged, right here, all the pictures.
I'd like to see it.
My big screen TV, everything. He did not cover nothing.
Okay, now I'm ready to hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I told the...
Look at me.
I told
Don't
the-
look down. Look
okay.
at me.
I told the plaintiff that I was going to remove the wall from the kitchen to the living room and have some kitchen cabinets made up and do some light demo. We had talked about it months before.
When, immediately prior to April 22nd, did you notify him that you were coming in? Did you talk to him on April 21st?
No, it was 2 weeks prior to that, Your Honor, because I went to Colorado to see my mother. And before I went, I talked to him about it in his kitchen.
Fine. Now you get back.
Yes.
And you decide to do it on the 22nd. Now, the last time you spoke to him about it was before you went to your mother's. Is that right?
Yes.
When did you finish that job?
I did not finish the job because the cabinets had to be measured after the wall was down. So the guy had to come in and take measurements. And by that time, he was gone.
So what you're telling me, sir, is first you knocked down all the walls and then somebody was coming to take
Not
down
all
measurements?
the walls. I knocked some of the plaster off the front wall, and that's what you see there.
Why in the last 6 months have you not completed the house?
Because I don't need to go fast anymore. We agreed that if he stayed in the house while I was doing the demo, I would do sections at a time and complete them.
Sir, I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. When somebody does work on a kitchen, first they have somebody come in and take measurements. They plan it out. What they don't do is they don't take down all the walls and then say, now I'm going to get somebody to come in, and now they're going to take measurements. Your problem, Mr. and Mrs. Wagoner, is that you accepted a resolution of this problem.
That's not true, Your Honor.
You let me finish. If you had said, I'm going to pay you your rent, I'm not accepting $200 for the damage that you did, then I would say to you, you have a claim. But when you accept a settlement, which is what you did, you're still stuck, but there's one thing that you're not stuck for, and you're not stuck for the fact that he trespassed on your property because you paid April's rent. And he has no right to come into your property without giving you adequate notice, which you did not do. Because the fact that you may have said to him, if I believed you, which I don't, listen, I want to do some demolition and some light work in the house. And people who live 2 feet away from you, you couldn't come in and say, listen, can you get your stuff together because I'm coming in tomorrow or in 2 days to fix it. I don't believe that. You had no business being there. Judgment for the plaintiff for $2,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's case number 95 on the calendar in the matter of Raymond versus Holmes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Raymond, you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship and decided to lease an apartment together. The defendant moved out sometime during the lease, and you want her to be responsible for her half of the rental of the apartment. That's what the case is about. Ms. Holmes says, she was sort of forced to move out. She'll explain that to me. When did you decide to lease this apartment together?
We leased the apartment February 5th, 2001. We were living previously at another apartment complex, but it was just strictly my name on the lease.
And what prompted you to rent this apartment together?
I was naive enough to think that we might be together for the rest of our lives and maybe start a family together one day, you know? And obviously I was wrong, and
That's the end of the story. How much were you paying in the old apartment?
I was paying $685.
And how much was the rent on the new apartment?
$870.
What was the financial arrangement as far as the rent was concerned?
That we both pay half, and we were both paying half of electricity and telephone as well.
How many months did you live there together?
Together we lived there for 5 3/4 of a month.
Let's say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, it is correct, Ms. Holmes, that you were paying half the rent.
Yes.
When did you move out and why?
I moved out the beginning of the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August. Throughout our relationship, we had many fights. It became abusive, not only verbally, but physically. And
when did it become physically abusive?
I have here, we both were arrested for breach of peace. We got into a fight. It was at the previous apartment that he lived at.
So you both were arrested for breach of the peace?
Yes.
When?
It was the day after Christmas in 2000.
Fine. Don't give me ancient history, Miss Holmes. After that happened, you moved into an apartment together, and you signed the lease. Were there any incidents of domestic violence between the two of you after you signed the lease in February of 2001?
In that residence?
Yes.
There was no actual police reports for any.
That doesn't answer my question.
There was violence.
Well, tell me about it.
It was just when we would argue, we would get into fights.
You would fight with each other?
Yes.
All right. With each other?
I would fight back because I'm a lot smaller, but there's only so much I can do to him.
All right. You would fight with each other?
To get him off of me. And
Miss Holmes, you fought with each other. Why did you move out? And make sure I get a legitimate answer, please.
Because I was afraid.
No.
I was sick.
No. That's not why you moved out. You may have thought you made a mistake and you didn't care for him anymore, but that's not why you moved out. You suddenly moved out.
I wanted to end the relationship.
Right. That sounds right.
I had had enough.
Fine. That sounds right. You didn't want to be with him anymore for whatever reason. Don't tell me what happened a year and a half before when you both were arrested for breach of peace. You didn't like him anymore. You wanted out. Did you have anybody else?
No.
Weren't dating anybody else?
No. I still to this day haven't dated anyone.
That's not the truth, Your Honor.
Just a second. Because that's what he believes in any event. All right. Now, when you moved out, what arrangements did you make with him with regard to the rent and regard to the lease?
I told him that I would pay him for the month after that I had moved out, just to be nice, to help him out, because I understood that it was a lot of money, and that after that he was on his own.
Did she have this discussion with you, Mr. Raymond?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Fine. She said she'd pay you 1 month when she wasn't there and then start looking for a roommate.
Matter of fact, she said she was going to help me out every month, not just 1 month, until it was over.
Did she pay you that 1 month?
At the end of August, yes, or beginning of August, August 1st, she did.
Okay. What kind of search did you do, sir, to find a roommate? Is not an answer.
I tried to find a roommate. My best friend was going to move into the house, but it was just a 1-bedroom, so it was very hard to live with somebody else as well as the dog that we both owned. Really, no one else could be around the dog except for me and her. And it was hard to find somebody to live with a dog that is not their owner.
Mr. Raymond,
yes.
She moved out a year ago.
Yes.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
February 5th.
When your lease was up?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my best friend.
And what's your rent?
$300.
So you did not attempt to get out of your lease?
I attempted to, but without the $350 lease breakage fee, which I have in the lease right here, they wouldn't let me even try to do it because she has to come up with $350 for the lease breakage fee as well. She wrote a letter.
Well, she could have, listen to me, she could have, instead of giving you the $435, given them the $350 for the lease breakage fee. And then what would have happened to your rent?
I would have still been able to cover it, probably.
So now, okay. So instead of spending less money to break the lease, which she could have done, correct? She gave you more money for the month that she wasn't there.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me, Mr. Raymond, after a year, what brings you to court, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Suddenly, when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone.
No.
Of course.
And later today,
We have a lot of strays.
Strays are not your problem. Your problem is your 2 cats.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joe Raymond says former live-in girlfriend Lindsay Holmes owes for breaking an apartment lease. Lindsay says she moved out because she was scared of Joe.
Go ahead.
What brings me to court is, well, we still have relation within this year. I mean, we still talk to each other. It was on and off for the past year. And she continuously told me, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you money. And I never received any money except for that one time in August. And I found out that she was seeing a Rocky Hill police officer. And I was very disturbed of that
When
fact.
did you find that out, sir?
I found this out 3 weeks after she moved out in August. That's one of the main reasons we stopped talking at that time.
That's still a year ago, so what brings you to court now?
To get the money that I feel as if I'm owed, because I owe money to the leasing agent, and
Why?
they still, because I lost my job in December and I was lay off just doing snow work removal,
Yeah.
and I couldn't afford it, so now they're coming after both of us to get the money.
When did you stop paying rent, sir?
I paid September, October, November, December.
December rent was not paid.
Let me see. Oh, I see. You paid with a bad check in November.
But it was...
Sir, so it's 2 months rent that you did not pay.
Yes, but I had talked to the rental agent and I had explained them my situation, and they worked with me the best they could.
I have to find, Mr. Raymond, that there was some reason for her not to break this lease, which she could have done for a lot less money than she gave you for the period of time when she was there. For $350, she could have gotten her name off this lease and not been responsible at all. So I must assume that you wanted to stay in that apartment. Now, the difference is really negligible between what you were paying in your own apartment and this apartment. You were paying that yourself.
She was living there as well, but her name wasn't on the lease and she was helping me.
Helping you is not paying. You didn't take that apartment with the idea that she was going to be paying half the rent.
No.
The first apartment.
I had a lawsuit that I was given, and I had a lot of extra money. And then suddenly when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
No.
It's the way it works.
Got to take care of your own expenses, sir. I think that she gave you every opportunity to fill in the apartment with somebody else for the next couple of months. She tried to do the right thing. She could have just as easily gotten herself totally off the hook by spending a lot less money.
It was still hard for me to find somebody to live with. And
Get over it.
all right.
Should have tried harder. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's attacked me before. I have a criminal court case pending right now against him.
I'm definitely not a dangerous man.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Little versus Whitlock Whitehead. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Crystal Biddle and her mother Gail are suing schoolteacher Darlene Whitlock and her brother, 25-year-old student Dale Whitehead, for the value of a totaled car.
What's your first name?
Crystal.
Crystal. Is this your mom?
Yes.
And yours?
Darlene?
I'm Dale.
According to your complaint, you had cars in school. You were in school and you were in school. Is that right?
Correct.
And you had one car, you had another car. Your cars were parked next to each other in a parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
Your car, without any indication of any fault on your part, you weren't even there, caught fire and was destroyed.
Correct.
Your car was next to his car and was also destroyed.
Yes.
You want them, you're the owner of the car,
Yes, ma'am.
to pay the cost of a new car or a replacement car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Go ahead.
Well, I should not be tormented for somebody's car who had electrical problems, shoot into my car and start on fire. It's not fair
How
to
do we
me.
know that the car had electrical problems?
In the report it says...
Can I see the
yes.
report, please? Let's see what it says. So there are several cars involved in this, and it's clear that, according to the fire report, it says the Ford van was the vehicle that the fire started in the electrical wiring.
Yes.
So why don't you sue Ford? What are you suing him for?
He's the one who owned the car.
Would it be my
Shut,
fault?
shut, shut. Why didn't you have insurance on your car?
I had liability insurance.
Yeah, but you don't have collision, you don't have damage.
That's just...
This is... Look, I'm trying to think of an example to give you that would probably make it more palatable to you. When there is fault, you target the person who's at fault, person or entity that's at fault, if they cause you injury or damage, right?
Yes.
He was not at fault. He didn't create this car. There is no indication that he was aware or the owner of the car was aware that there were electrical problems with the car. So certainly they're not at fault. Now, are they absolutely liable for anything that happens as a result of their car? No. Not at all. What happens if they're driving along the street and a boulder hits their car and their car swerves and hits into your car? Certainly not their fault, because they didn't do anything that was negligent. So what you have to do is you have to have collision if you want to be fully protected, or else go after the people who made the car. If there was faulty electrical wiring, isn't that what you were told?
No.
Well, what were you told?
We were just told to file a claim against the owner and the driver of the vehicle.
For what?
Well, the vehicle was smashed in the front end of the vehicle, and the insurance company that he had didn't even send anyone out to look at their car to see if there was any evidence of any
This
problem.
is the fire department report. The fire department report says that it was an electrical fire.
Right. Well, what we were saying is that we believe that there probably were problems with the van that they were aware of.
Show me. Just a minute. Then if what you're saying to me, Ms. Biddle, is accurate, that they had knowledge that there was something wrong with their car, and yet drove it, and thereby placed other cars at risk, then they would be responsible. I agree with you. Show me, give me proof, that they knew or should have known that there was something wrong with their car that could cause a fire, and then you get whatever you want. Do you have any proof?
If anybody would have walked past that van, anybody would have known that there was problems with that van. It was rusted up, it was very old, and it didn't like it was taken care of very well.
That doesn't mean, listen to me, Miss Biddle, that means that the car will one day be driving along the road and stop running. That doesn't mean that it's going to explode in a fire. Miss Biddle, you need proof, expert proof, that, for instance, the car was in an accident. They were advised by a mechanic that unless it was fixed, the car could, by spontaneous combustion, start on fire. Because otherwise, there are lots of scenarios that are possible. It's also possible that somebody lit a match, opened the hood, threw it in the car, and caught on an electrical wire, and that's what they saw. They saw the electrical wires burned, that somebody else did that. Do you think that they would be responsible if somebody passed their car and, as a prank, took a match and threw it in the gas tank and the car exploded and your car was damaged? Do you think they'd be responsible?
No.
Why? Just a minute. Why not?
Well, I mean, it was somebody else could have, you know, done it just to get him in trouble, but...
Someone else could have done something to destroy his car. It's not different. It's not different. You have to show a fault, that somehow these people knew that they were driving around in a dangerous vehicle that could cause damage to somebody else's property. And you don't have that proof, so you have no case. So next time you want to be fully protected, get collision. Case dismissed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Morgan versus King. Step forward, please.
Carpenter Gwen Morgan is suing her niece, 20-year-old hotel reservationist LaToya King, for vandalizing her car. LaToya denies the charge.
Ms. Morgan, I've read your complaint. The defendant is your niece, and it is your claim that she vandalized your car. You're going to tell me why you think she would do such a thing, and then, more importantly, you're going to tell me what proof you have that she did it. So let's start with the whys first. Why would she vandalize your car?
Well, around the beginning of December, I was called to my mother's house.
Your niece was living with your mother?
She lives with my mother.
For how long were you living with, is that your grandmother?
I lived with her all my life.
She ill?
Yes.
Who else lives there at the house with you?
Right now, just my grandpa and my son.
Is he all right? Your grandfather?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So then LaToya came home, and LaToya and the young man came to my mom's house, and we got into an argument because she didn't want the check to go direct deposit. She wanted to come to the mailbox.
What check is she talking about?
This SSI check. I have the paper.
SSI check for whom?
My nephew, which is her half-brother.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Who's in charge of your brother's
My
SSI
grandmother.
check? Your grandmother is.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have to do with that?
Well, the thing is, I'm my mother's provider because my mother's ill and mostly bedridden.
What do you mean she's your provider? What does that mean?
In-care health care provider for the elderly people.
You don't live there?
No, I don't, but I was hired to take care of her.
Whatever, I don't want to get into that. You got into an argument with your niece over who was going to be in charge.
Over a check. Whose check was going to be?
You got into an argument with your niece over who was going to be in charge of finances.
Whether the check come
I don't care.
direct
What?
deposit or
Finances, please. I don't have
Okay,
time
fine.
to go into the whole thing. It's not necessary.
Okay.
That's what the argument was about.
Yes.
The argument was about money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He taunts me all the time.
What did he say?
He said, "Ha B, that's why we tore your car up. You tried to sue the wrong person."
Don't make a big story for me. I'm asking you a question. Stop making it up as you go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gwen Morgan says after a family argument, her niece, LaToya King, vandalized her.
Okay.